All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another NASCAR Weekly podcast. We got a big one on board today. I'm the Iceberg. You should probably know that, seeing how you're on my channel. Finally hit 1,000, so thank you for that. And I'm going to hand it off to Danny now.
Hey, I'm Danny. I got a lot going on in my life right now, and I'll get into that in a little bit with a bigger announcement later. But yeah, I'm Danny. I uploaded a video today. It's been kind of slow for me, but there you go.
And welcome, everyone. I'm Eric here again. I asked you guys on Twitter this week. I came across this in Target, and I figured with all the inside jokes and memes that we have here in the chat that I figured this was fitting. And you guys responded very quickly on Twitter, so I got this shirt here. So I'm basically cosplaying as myself for tonight's stream, so I hope you guys lick the like button for that embarrassment that is me right now. But yeah, I'm excited. We got a full show, a few guests coming a little bit later. And yeah, I'm excited to chat about it. So I'll toss it over to Darian.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter. Just uploaded a new video series today called Race Reviews, and for the first episode, I go over a pretty bizarre race. So all I'm gonna say is that Lee Petty is a straight up savage for doing what he did. If you want to find out what it is, tune in after the stream, of course. And yeah, let's begin.
Really quick to Jacob and anyone else asking, David Land will be on at 9 o'clock. We're going to have Kayla Eshleman pretty soon here at the start, do a quick interview with her, and then have ACS come on after that, because he was at the race in Michigan this week, so he's sort of our on-the-ground reporter this week. But until Kayla comes on, we're just sort of holding steady, looking at the chat right now. Ooh, I'm extra thick. Danny, you got competition, man. Apparently, I'm extra thick.
Oh no, I thought I was the fit guy here. But another thing with ACS, we're still a couple weeks removed from his driver's first win, so it'll be interesting to see how he feels a couple weeks later.
The Chase Elliott's high is still going on many weeks later.
Oh, I bet you he won't let a few of us live down our words.
well, hey, Darian did it in one day, so.
Thank you, Racer Fan 99.
And also, just really quick, also congrats, 1,000 subscribers.
Yes. Yeah.
To the Iceberg, 1,000.
And big thank you to our mutual friend IDK player helping him get up to that point.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That I was literally mowing my lawn, and I kept feeling this buzzing in my pocket. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I'm looking, and he's calling me. I'm like, oh boy, it's either a prank call or something big. He's like, dude, look at your sub count. And I'm like, okay, he wouldn't be that much of a jerk to me. So I'm like, oh my God, And then I'm all happy, and I hang up with him, and then I realize I'm like, oh, that means I have to watch 50 Shades of Grey now.
Mm-hmm. You make those promises without ever realizing that they might actually come true.
That's what happens when you doubt yourself.
Here's a good question. Corvette Racing 48, do you think that Elliott will win more races this year? He could. I don't trust Hendrick.
Could see maybe one more, but
maybe one, but I don't know where.
The Roval.
Yeah. I really don't even think the Roval, but potentially when we get to Martinsville, have a good run there.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Edwards. Your sense of humor never goes unnoticed. Boney Chuck, 50 Shades of Grey isn't that bad. It's more fun to watch with a woman, though.
I don't know about that.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. It's not
so,
the best.
Has anyone here even seen it?
Yes.
Because I haven't. You okay?
I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and I was like, okay, no, I cannot watch this.
Well, okay, so I watched a series where they do full movie reactions, but they just cut out the best jokes for the worst scenes of them, and it was Twilight, and I've always heard that Twilight was better than 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like, oh boy,
Robot.
This is bad. If that's bad, oh damn.
Robot. Okay, so really quick, Kayla just responded. She'll be on in a little bit.
Okay. Do we want to get into the weekend then really quick?
For sure.
Alrighty, we raced at Michigan this week, and Keelan Harvick stole the show. That's about all we need.
That was cute, and it's one of those things that I think we're going to reflect back on, and it'll be something good for NASCAR to have in its media files for Even though it's still too early to say anything about his for sure future, you got to believe there's a good chance that he could be another Chase Elliott down the line. So, it's good to have things like that. Keelan and really all of the drivers' kids who most likely have a career in this stuff.
All right, so really quick, I'm sorry. That was me. That my headphones were roboting for some reason. My bad. I thought it was just Jarrett from his end. What were you guys talking about? I can hear you.
Michigan. Well, basically how Keelan stole the show.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Kamikaze's favorite person on earth right now.
So, I mean, since Harvick did that, expect the next time Kyle Busch wins for something like that to happen. So, just saying.
That would be hilarious because they keep trying to one up each other on the track. It'd be great if it's like, oh, you brought your kid out into the car. Well, I'll bring my kid out into the car. Oh, you're gonna bring your wife out into victory lane and to do burnouts. Oh, then I'll bring my wife. Like it'll be hilarious if they just continue to try to one up each other.
Oh yeah, I'm installing a car seat. My kid's riding with me in the race now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't put that one in. That's a Kyle Larson. That's not my kid.
And speaking of wives and stuff, y'all hear about that new show on Twitter?
I was just talking to my fiance over the weekend, and I was like, because she's seen the show Total Divas that WWE does with their women over there, and it'd be basically a reality show of the women of that. And I said, you know what, I could see something like a reality show about NASCAR drivers' wives, and what do you know? Then it gets announced that they're actually doing it on CMT.
And it's supposed to be out this winter. My impression, my opinion of reality shows is I'm not a really big fan, but my mom loves the Real Housewives of whatever. So every time I think of women on reality TV, I always think of that, or Love and Hip Hop, and I'm like, it's not going to be good. But I think this will be it won't be trashy or anything like that,
I see N24 is in the chat. So how's it going, man?
Up?
Hey, Joseph.
I know I won't be watching the reality show, but it's some people might find it interesting. You never know, might bring some new fans.
It just depends on who the audience is. I might watch it with my fiance, but she being a girl NASCAR fan, she's for sure said she's going to watch it. She said most likely it could possibly be her favorite show to watch because she loves following all the NASCAR wives on Instagram and all that. So I mean, it just depends on the audience there that are trying to market to, and if they're trying to market to more women, hey, something like that's a really good idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't think it's really going to hurt them in any way or anything like that. I think it can only go up, to be honest with you. I'm not going to watch it because reality TV is not my thing, though.
So does this say about the quality of the race that we went from talking about after the race and to Housewives of NASCAR?
I'll just say like this. It seems like there has been a lot of little things come out this week. Nothing real major like last week, but it's been a lot of little things piling up. So
I think it's interesting though how the first half, 2/3 of this race at Michigan was pretty good, and everyone I was seeing was like, "Hey, this is fun racing." There's some good restarts, not any big wrecks, but some good spins here and there, some contact drama. It was pretty interesting race. But then when Harvick eventually just ran away with it, people tuned out, and at that point, it feels like. How people say a bad race is sometimes it can be made up for by having just a really great finish. And I think this is an example of what was a decent race for the most part being really kind of slammed because the last 60, 70 laps sucked, which, I think Michigan, and I said this recently, it suffers from the fact that it's a fast track. And with this aero package, you can't be a big fat fast track with only one groove. You can be Chicagoland with 3 grooves and it still is a decent race. But if you have one groove and you're going 200 miles an hour the whole time, you're gonna suck. Racing here sucks. It's not good.
I almost had I almost had 2 races right in a row. Blaney was running second at one point. I was like, oh, he's gonna catch him. But then Harvick's you weren't gonna catch him.
No, you couldn't go against Harvick. No,
it wasn't gonna happen.
I mean, I had went for a really long run, and stuff. And I got back, I'm in the pool, I'm sitting there with my little cousins watching the race. And there's Logano, I forgot who he almost hit. I think he almost hit Larson or Larson almost hit him or whatever. There's these awesome restarts. There's little spins here or there. And it's this is really entertaining, right? And then it's they have the what ended up being the final restart. And I ended up sitting down finally to watch it because I finally got my legs under me. And it just sort of turned into the average post repaved Michigan race. I can't speak today. I sound like Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, I mean, the first 130 or so laps, really entertaining, keeping that momentum going that we've had the last basically month and a half, 2 months. Then the end of it sort of like, yeah, okay, it's Michigan. We got Bristol next week, so that'll make up for it.
Right.
Pretty much.
Who's this?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, it's ACS. What's up, man?
What's up?
Hey guys.
You were at the race this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I'm struggling with. I got a new computer, so I'm streaming from my iMac. So that's pretty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking I was roboting again.
Look at that shirt he's got on.
Yeah, boys. Finally got stuff. Yeah.
They got those things out quick.
Oh yeah, they did. They got like 3 of them. It's ridiculous. Hey, I'll take.
I'm
They
probably.
got out of me, so I mean they're winning.
So I gotta ask, like, what are you more excited to talk about tonight? Chase Elliott's win or the race you were just at?
I heard you guys. I was watching a podcast. I'll talk about MIS real quick, and I know we're gonna be losing a race here, in the future. Maybe lose both races. My phone just fell. But
Not
maybe
both
lose
races.
Both races.
Not both races.
You don't think so?
No, they
I
have
hope-
to keep it.
But I think
Keep
probably when
Father's
the
Day
contract
weekend.
comes up, we'll lose one.
Michigan is probably the track that cars can get the fastest. I think that's still a spectacle that people want to keep, no matter what kind of racing it produces.
Exactly. That's what I really wanted to talk about. Was the big thing about MIS is they go 2:15 into turn 1.
Mhm.
I mean, that's it's cool to see in person because you can go stand at the exit of pit road and stand right up by the fence, and the cars will like whip your hat off. It's so fast.
Well, now here's what I kind of think would actually help the track with that is like, because granted the attendance this weekend, one half was like packed, and then and then the overhead, that was packed. I was like, dang, and then I saw the overhead of the other side, and I was like, ooh boy. But I think that it can benefit the way that Auto Club did from having one date. I think they should keep it at the Father's Day one because that's sort of a tradition, or around Father's Day. It's always been a tradition. And I think that it'll help them with attendance because it can just pool that audience all into one race. And, as it ages, the racing's going to get better.
Yeah, I think the problem with MIS is the current racing package we got there. The cars are too low to the ground. They go too fast. I think the problem is that they're going too fast is the problem with the track. I mean, it just leads to one groove around the racetrack, and it doesn't help that nobody's dared to go up there and try out that groove. And as far as I know, I don't think MIS has taken up any of those rubbing up tire on the upper grooves like the old MIS was. And probably the asphalt they used, I think, was a little different than what was used prior for MIS. But MIS is definitely a track you have to experience in person. Pretty much. I think it's probably pretty boring on TV, but you can't deny that the truck races are pretty awesome at MIS. I mean, trucks, they got it right.
Yeah. Well, even Xfinity, the races I've managed to catch, they've been pretty good. I mean, when I was there in 2016, the Xfinity race was the best race of the weekend between Suarez and Kyle Busch, and there's racing throughout the pack.
The Byron, was cool too. Yeah,
I mean, it's like the Xfinity and the Truck Series have it figured out, but then the Cup Series with this aero package they got, I know we beat it over the head to death, so we won't go, I don't think, too much more in depth with it. It's awful for these kind of tracks, but I mean, I do think that in the next 5 or so years, Michigan's going to sort of age into the way that Atlanta was through the early 2000s.
That would be cool. I'd totally be down for that.
I think the pavement they used for it it's more slick, I guess.
Yeah.
So as soon as somebody gets out of that groove,
and they're around, just like the incident with William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. sucked them around and wrecked them both. And you wouldn't have that at like an auto club. You'd be able to race next side by side, but I don't think you would necessarily suck them around like what happens at Kentucky in turn 3 and 4. It's the same thing at MIS, really.
I got to ask, what'd you think of Kevin and Keelan Harvick after the race?
I listened to races on a scanner, and we were leaving the track, but I had it on a scanner, and I heard they were talking about Keelan running up and taking the flag, and so I thought that was kind of special. As I was walking out of the track, I kind of got to hear that, and so I didn't witness it because I was waiting for Harvick to do a burnout, and he didn't do a burnout because his crew chief told him not to. So then we just kind of left. And I heard it on a scanner as I was walking on the track. I just thought it was pretty cool. It was unique in a way. I don't think it's been done before, as far as I know. So that was cool. Kind of stole the show. It was a decent MIS race. I mean, it wasn't terrible. We've had MIS races like the year Kenseth won when they tried that aero package. We've had races like what was the bad one? I think last year up until that final restart wasn't that great with the Larson passing Truex and Jones. So I think through that race, the last 50 laps were a snoozer, but that's expected at MIS. But the first 2 stages were pretty impressive for MIS standard.
Yeah, I would agree. It went from being, I thought all the restarts, because, restarts are also, I think, what makes tracks like MIS so much fun. It's because, you can fan out. That's the only time in the race where we see them use 3 grooves, the rest of the time they're all around right there in the middle, But, so I thought the first couple of stages, first 120, 130 laps are really pretty good. And that's why, it was fun. And then just, it's just whenever it feels like this year, whenever Harvick, it's like even when Kyle Busch or Truex takes the lead, it's kind of like, But when Evan Harvick takes the lead, you just feel like the race is over. I don't know what it is. Maybe because we still think about him being the closer, maybe. But I just think it just feels like when Harvick takes the lead, the only way he's losing is if his pit crew sucks, which is definitely a possibility. But
he lost. He went in first one time and came out 5th.
Yeah. So, but it just feels like when Harvick leads, it really sucks the life out of everyone. Because at least when Kyle Busch is leading, you have the back and forth on Twitter and stuff of like, oh, Kyle sucks. Kyle's great. Kyle sucks. And so when Harvick wins, everyone's just kind of like, Harvick.
Yeah, here we go again.
Here we go. I mean, come on. I said this on Twitter after the race. I don't mind it. I mean, it's just we're witnessing something I've never really seen happen before. I mean, recent champions in the past 4 seasons, battling out for the win, it's for the championship and stuff like that. I mean, they've won the most races. I think it's pretty awesome.
Is anybody else hearing a lot of static coming from Derek?
Oh, thank God, it's not just me. I thought it was like McDonald's Wi-Fi on my part, but it's actually Darian.
You sounded like Emperor Zurg or something over there, like a robot voice. That was kind of cool.
So, do you guys all see about Elliott Sadler? His retirement?
Yeah, it's sad to me because I mean it's like I know Elliott's since he made a decision to go down a series, he's been trying so hard to finally win that championship, and I really hope he does this year. But it's sad to see him going away.
How do I sound now? Does that sound better?
Normal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. My
Cleveland Browns Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah, but I guess what I was saying before is that the big 3 and stuff, I still don't see a problem with it and stuff. I mean, just being a stats guy and stuff, I mean, it's still pretty crazy. I mean, Harvick has a career high 7 wins already, and we're not even in the playoffs yet. So I don't know. It would be pretty cool to see him get to like 10, 11, something like that.
It'd be cool.
Probably gonna if stuff goes right, Harvick, because Harvick's already blown races this year, which is weird to say. I mean, he's had races where he could have beat Kyle Busch, like Texas. He was probably the better car, but Busch held him off. Pocono, he was definitely the better car. So he's definitely blown races. So it's kind of scary to think that Harvick could have won a lot more than what he did.
And that's what reminds me, because a lot of people kind of have been, I think, surprised by Harvick being really good this year, and maybe for good reason, because I think a lot of people thought Ford would struggle at the beginning of the year because they were the oldest car body. Like Toyota and Chevy's been making all these changes. People thought Ford would fall behind because that's what Brad Keselowski keeps trying to tell us, that Ford's behind. But, this year, Harvick being good, I feel like when we step back and think about it, it shouldn't be surprising. Because, if you think back to, between 2014, 2015, 2016, around that, time, even maybe last year, I don't remember how far back the stat goes, Kevin Harvick had more than 20, 25 second-place finishes. Yeah. That was a trend for a while.
I think tied the record.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. And you just think if even half of those had been wins, he would be up in the 50s and 60s for his career right now.
Definitely 2016 he lost. Or no, 2015 he lost a lot of races.
Same with start of 2014. There were a lot of them that he was end up being second, or I remember, I want to say, Darren, you can correct me on this, but I think it was Vegas. He was leading and he blew an engine in 2014, or he was up front at least.
Yeah, he had some sort of problem that race.
He's had issues where his pit crew will cost him on the final restart. That happens every year, but it's just he is as good as I think he's as good as he's showing this year, and this is the first year he's really showing it. It kind of makes me feel a little bit bad for him. It makes me feel like if he hadn't been with RCR, especially later in those years, he could have been as good as Jimmy Johnson. And at least the way he's been running since he got to Stewart-Haas Racing, he already has a championship, and he's been one of the top 5 competitors every year. And then he's doing this where he looks like he'll get at least 10 wins this year. Like, I don't really like Kevin Harvick, so it pains me to say this, but he looks like he could have been Jimmy Johnson had all the cards, fallen right, or had everything fallen right into place for him.
RCR easily held him back.
Looking back now.
His stats and stuff, but he still won a lot with what he had at RCR, which is impressive.
He won 23, 24 races with RCR, and then now he's pretty much even. He's almost at that total.
Yeah, he's at 44 now, so.
Yeah, I mean, since 2014. Yeah, since 2014, he's won 20-something races now. It's crazy.
I thought he was still in the 30s.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No,
they've been the best driver car team, everything all around, since probably the middle of 2014.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna win the championship or you're gonna win a race, more than likely you have to go through Kevin Harvick and
Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I'd say Kyle Busch is definitely the close second over that span, and then Truex.
A unique kind of point in his life too, because before he broke his leg, I mean, what was he winning?
He was winning, but it wasn't consistent as far as points go.
And now, since he broke his leg, he won 5 in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
He won a few in 2016, and then it took him forever to win in 17. But when he did, he ended up with 5-6 wins.
Yeah, he won a bunch. He won he won Pocono, and then he won Bristol, and then a few other races.
He went back to back at Dover and Hampshire.
And he's got 6 already this year. So that's got to be 21, 22 wins in a 3.5 year span. Yeah. Not even 3.5. Jeez.
Looking at it this year, it's no surprise that those two are at the top.
And then just saying these three, and it's so interesting since we went to this current style of playoffs we have. Those 3 have been in the Final Four twice, and then a couple of them have been in their own things without all 3 of them together. And most likely, if things go right, those 3 could still end up in the Final Four again.
Yeah.
Jacob Jett put in the chat 5 and 15, 4 and 16, 5 and 17, 6 this year. So 20 races in that much time. Yeah, it says Harvick 12, Busch 10, Truex 7. I think that's
predictions for what they say.
I can see that.
So speaking of Truex, what was that decision? What was the point of that?
Oh, his fuel mileage gamble?
Yeah, it wasn't even towards the end of the race. It was pointless.
I mean, he spun out, so he had to get back up front. But I don't think they should have won it that manner. I think they were trying to collect the stage win, but it totally backfired because they had to let Harvick go in the long run. I mean,
and Suarez did the same thing. I'm like,
Suarez
why?
had so much to lose. That was a bad decision by Daniel Suarez's crew.
Yeah, it made no sense. I was watching and I was like, well, just pit. Why are you doing it? Because and then when he started to save gas, and I'm like, you're not gonna make it. And then once 2 to go hit, he's like, I gotta pit. The pits they're always closed during towards the end of the stages. So I'm like, so basically they did this for no apparent reason. Or for no positive end game, and you lost a lap in the process. It made no sense.
It would have made sense if there must have been a failure to communicate how short of fuel they were. Because if Truex was saving a little bit throughout the whole thing, he should have easily been able to make it.
They said they were 7 short. I'm like, you're not going to save.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Well, I thought I figured he was 4 or 5 short. And across a 40, 50 lap run, you can probably conserve that and still hang on to a top 10 spot. Because I don't think there's no way they're going to win the stage with that strategy.
They're probably making on a caution too, because at that rate of the race, I think we already had 5 cautions.
Yeah, that's probably true as well.
And it went green through the end of stage 2. So I think they were probably banking on that. But hey, it made for some good racing up front.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Cole Pern and stuff, but that was the only decision that I've seen him make that was it left me scratching my head. I don't know why.
Pern's biggest mistake to this date, and it's not a bad thing to say.
I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, I guess. That's a good thing.
Learn early instead of learning at Phoenix or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
One thing that I was surprised with. One thing I was surprised with was how many people just from the start of the run didn't try to save fuel and try and make it all the way. I mean, I don't know if it's just the car or different drivers, teams, whatever, but it just seems like, 10 years ago or so, I think there would have been 7 or 8 cars trying to make it to the end to get a win or to try and
Exactly. Yeah,
get a better finish.
Very weird too.
Well,
Yeah, I was like, why? That's why I was like, why doesn't Austin Dillon save from the get-go and just try and go all the way? Why doesn't one of these guys run 15?
Dillon should have pitted early instead of He
Well,
should have
that's like if you're gonna
would have been miles ahead of Harvick. Harvick probably still would have caught him, but it's hard to pass at MIS. Dillon may have won.
Yeah, especially with this aero package.
Yeah.
I think stages makes it harder to really do fuel mileage races anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I find it so odd that, winning is supposed to mean so much more. And these teams, it seems like, once Harvick or Busch or Truex gets out, it's like they all play it safer. It's like, well, they're ahead now. There's nothing we could do. It's like, well, at least try. It's like you're telling me that someone running back in the teens, you're telling me like Alex Bowman or somebody, why not take that risk, seeing how your competition is basically giving you a playoff spot at this point?
Yeah,
it's like try and lock yourself in, get some bonus points.
Right. I'll just say it like this: you only got a few more weeks, and these guys have won so many races. I'd almost be more willing to be a little bit aggressive and just, if you have to, race these guys as hard as you possibly can to make something.
Yeah.
Like, that's if you're in that Larson,
Chase Elliott should do, because they both got they got nothing to lose. They got everything to gain.
Well, even points wise, if you're in that Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Keselowski range, you're good to go. Like there's Keselowski and them, unless you completely wet the bed or just don't show up, there is no way you're missing the playoffs with being that far ahead and ahead of that many people.
This weekend, going into Bristol, a couple guys who I think can run well there that need to maybe be a little bit more aggressive in order to make something of their season is someone like Blaney, Bowman, Stenhouse, somebody like that needs to use a good car that they'll most likely have at this track.
Stenhouse almost won the race in the spring. He had Larson. Yeah. Got loose.
Well, it's like I think that after Bristol, this is the last. I know they say Darlington and Indianapolis are wild cards, but I think they're sort of just banking on hope there. But Bristol definitely is a wild card. Anyone from anywhere on the track can get crashed, but it's like after this, I mean, unless Indy's a fuel mileage race, I think that the chase field, or the playoffs, I should say, that the field that we're seeing, it's set. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, unless someone just drastically wins out of nowhere, then
would this be the fewest amount of winners going into a playoffs? Because like I know last year there was like nearly almost everybody in the playoffs had one.
Yeah, they were like,
hey, Kayla.
Kayla.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, great to have you on.
You just kind of caught us midway for a discussion about the playoffs and things like that.
Oh, would you like to introduce yourself? Let everyone know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Kayla Eshleman. I drive super late models, so yeah, that's who I am. Yeah.
All right, well let's kind of just jump into it. I'll go first. Like, what inspired you to be, to drive race cars?
Definitely my family. So it's kind of a family thing. I grew up around it, and once I was old enough, I jumped into a Bandolero, and then I just moved up to Super Late. So.
Nice.
So, about how many years ago did you start really racing?
Ooh, I started racing when I was 12. So.
Okay, so this is so how many years does that make for you then?
5 years. Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. 5-year time, you're already racing super late models.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess for the next question is just what are your current thoughts on other up-and-coming female drivers, for example, like Natalie Decker or Haley Deegan? What's your opinion on them?
Yeah, I definitely think they're pretty good. Definitely just trying to encourage all the female drivers out there and just show everyone what we can do and just show everyone that we can be a part of this sport. And it's just not many females out there, so you just got to encourage one another. So it's pretty awesome to see them doing all the stuff that they're doing right now.
Do you have any like really good friends who are also female racers, like that are like really close to you?
I'm definitely friends with Tony Breidinger. I've hung out with Deegan a couple times, but we're not like super close. But I mean, it'd be pretty cool to get to know her a lot more. So. Yeah.
So for you, like, kind of, what's the end goal for your career? Is the goal to hopefully get into NASCAR? Is that kind of what kind of trajectory are you looking at right now in your career?
Definitely want to get to NASCAR for sure. Like, that's the whole reason I'm still in this thing right now, and just also just show other young females that they can do anything that they want to do.
So have you been approached by anybody from NASCAR about the Drive for Diversity program or NASCAR Next or anything?
I've definitely talked to a couple people. We're good friends with a lot of big names out there. So, I mean, we're just taking stuff as it goes by and just waiting for our shot to come once we're ready.
Excellent. Definitely wish you luck in that.
Thank you.
So you're saying that, like, one of the end goals, obviously, with NASCAR, are there any drivers who sort of inspired you to start driving, or is there anyone in particular?
I mean, obviously Danica Patrick, she was the first female NASCAR driver, but my favorite is Bubba Wallace because just all the struggles he had to get there. And so I just thought he's one of the best. He's one of my favorite drivers. So I definitely think he's an inspiration in my racing career.
Nice.
Oh, that's for sure.
That's definitely excellent.
Yeah, that's for
He's
sure.
a favorite of ours.
Yeah.
Now,
there.
Kayla, to help prepare you for your racing, do you do much anything on like iRacing simulations or anything like that?
I definitely do iRacing, but I mean, I haven't been on it lately because I have school and everything. But the main thing I do is go to the gym and just do like, not therapy, but like training and everything for racing. Like I have certain warm-ups that I do to get me prepared for the race weekend. So I have a trainer and everything like that gets me ready. But yeah.
Is there any kind of certain workouts, like especially for like your arms and your legs, in order to build up your stamina and all the body functions you need for a full race?
Yeah, we get weights and then like the steering wheel and everything. We kind of get a certain amount of weight and then we hold it up for 15 seconds and I have to turn it right and left and everything just to get my system going and ready for race and just.
Definitely can see how that would help. I don't get to do it as much anymore, but used to. I would be big into fishing tournaments, and there was definitely a lot of workouts that I try to do that would just keep my arms healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess my next question is, I know you're from California and you race at local tracks there and stuff. Are there any other tracks across the country that you usually race at from time to time?
I mean, the only track that like I've raced that's super far away is Hickory, but other than that, I just stay in the California range. But I would like to get to go to a lot of other tracks and just experience new ones for sure.
So with you being a super late model driver, we're actually going to NASCAR's going to Bristol this weekend. Have you ever had the chance to go down and do the short track nationals that they started there like last year? And I think Martinsville also has a big super late model race there too now.
No, I actually have not been able to go down there, but I was hoping to go there this year, but we just don't have time and everything. So hopefully next year we'll be like in a series where we can race there, but I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you mentioned kind of how you got started into racing and everything, but like I know we have some young fans and some of them I think definitely are interested in getting into racing. What kind of advice can you give anyone who's young and wants to get into racing? Maybe doesn't have the obvious path to get there. What can you tell those people?
Definitely racing is a big money game for sure. So you got to get some sponsors so that way you can get money and then start off slow, start off in a little car so that way you can just build up to the next level and everything. I mean, I started out in Bandoleros, pretty small cars, but they're definitely a big learning experience for me to get to know like how to drive and everything. But it's definitely a lot about money, so you have to have money and sponsors for sure to get into racing.
For sure.
One thing I would ask is, what advice would you give, younger people trying to get into racing, especially younger girls trying to get into racing?
Definitely it's not an easy sport. There's more bad days than there are good days, but I mean, the good days count a lot more than the bad ones do, obviously. I mean, no one likes a bad day, but it all pays off in the end. So, I mean, you just got to work towards it and just keep going. You can't give up. You can't let what anyone else say bring you down, because there are a lot of people that will talk down on you because you are a female. I'm a female. I get a lot of not hate, but people that look down on me because they think I can't do what a man can do. But truth is, I can probably do better. But yeah. So yeah,
just take them and rub them right off your shoulder there.
Exactly. exactly.
So, with racing, it's, you can answer this if you want to or not. It's a dangerous sport. Has there ever been any situations, any moments where you was like, hey, this is actually dangerous? Has there ever been any incidents where it might have maybe scared you to a certain point?
I mean, I was driving Legend one time. It was my first race in Legend, and I flipped it. But, I mean, it wasn't anything to where I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to race anymore. But it was definitely a little awakening to how dangerous this can be, and just seeing the past accidents that have happened before where people end up in the hospital. Like, I've been in the hospital a couple times, but it was nothing too serious. But nothing so far that has made me like, oh, I don't want to race anymore. But, yeah, there definitely are some pretty bad things that can happen for sure.
Dang, what'd you get in the hospital for? If I
Yeah,
can
I was about to
ask?
ask. Yeah, I was just about to ask. What's the accident? What was
Wow.
that?
Well, the first one was from when I flipped the Legend, and then the second one, racing takes a lot preparation and just a lot of stuff to be ready for the race, and so that way you're just prepared and everything. And I was a little bit off track, and I wasn't as hydrated as I should be, and so I kind of passed out once I got out of the car. But it takes so much out of you for those 100 laps that you're racing, the constant hour and like red lights and everything. And so it took a lot out of me, and I got out of the car and I wasn't hydrated and I passed out and had to go to the hospital, which wasn't fun, but I learned from my past. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I was just about to say, I think the same thing happened to Bubba a while back, didn't it?
Yeah. I think it was at Daytona. Yeah.
No, it was Pocono actually. It was Pocono.
Oh,
That was this. I remember that. Yeah, because it was his first start. That's right.
Don't be like Chase Elliott and drink a Mountain Dew after you. Come on, man.
Well, he's got to, for she was just telling us about the importance of sponsorship. He's got to,
Yeah, I know, but he's dehydrated. Give him a water. Come on, PR guys, let's go.
I was gonna ask. So I know you race super late models right now, but how rigorous is that schedule? Is this kind of how often are you racing? And you said you're mostly around California, but how rigorous is your schedule right now?
Ooh, right now I'm racing every single weekend. So I mean, I definitely enjoy it because I love racing, and when I have an off weekend, it's kind of like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? So adapted to racing every single weekend, and it does take a lot out of me, but it's worth it for me.
So, you said you're still in school and everything. How supportive is your school and teachers about your racing career?
Oh, they're definitely super supportive. They work with me just to get my schoolwork on time. If I have a race, they'll help me get in my missing work and everything, and they think it's pretty awesome. They talk about it a lot, which is kind of
that's cool
about it, but yeah.
So you race every weekend. So do you race during the school year then too? So
yes.
I take it.
Yes.
Dang, so it's basically like an extracurricular sport,
Yeah.
Pretty involved.
You're the school's driver.
Yes.
So I have to. Sorry. Yeah, my bad. So I was about to ask, what's the end goal for your, for your entire racing career and stuff? Because some people are just happy with just being a local driver and stuff, making a good living, and then some want to go to the top league in NASCAR and stuff. So what's the goal?
I definitely want to make it to NASCAR for sure, but I mean, if something were to happen to where I can't do that, I would at least be happy with racing just any local races. Say if I can't accomplish my dream of making it to NASCAR, but I'm putting in a lot of work to do that, so I believe I can make it. So that's my ultimate goal right now.
Well, we definitely support you and hope that you do get there. It's something that none of us are ever going to have that opportunity. So I mean, definitely good to see people our age and younger getting the opportunity to do stuff that we've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
My question is for you're still in high school, correct?
Yes.
Any plans to go to college and still race, or what do you think is going to be next after high school?
Well, I mean, we're having a couple discussions and meetings just as of right now for next season. So the way things are looking, I kind of want to focus on racing, so that way everything I have goes towards racing, so I can be the best at that. But if something happens where I can't make it, I definitely have a backup plan for college and just what I would want to do. But my main focus is racing right now. So
there you go. Always achieve your dreams, and if you know and trust that you have what it takes to do it, definitely go after it.
yes.
That's incredible. I just remember being 15, 16, 17, and it's like I thought I had a hard day because I had a track practice. Jeez.
I hear you.
More power to you.
It's crazy. It's crazy thinking back. We're not even that much older than Kayla is, and I'm 23, a college graduate, about to make some big steps in my life, and hey, just not even that long ago, I was in her shoes right there, that same age, and it's like, dang, what was I doing at that time? I was just getting through high school, and this girl's over here being racing superstar.
So, is there any way for fans to help support you? Like, is there anything they can go on and follow you and stuff like that too?
Definitely my Instagram. That's the main thing everyone follows me on for sure. Yeah, basically my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything like that. So.
Do you got like a Patreon to help fund your team, or?
No, actually I don't. Well, we have a page, but it's not like updated. So we've been working to update that and get some new stuff up. Sorry. Get some new stuff uploaded along with some new merchandise. So, yeah.
Damn, she already got merchandise going. It's really 60 some merchandise. I don't know. That's awesome.
Kayla just gave your Instagram a follow there, so there's another one.
Awesome.
You also have a YouTube channel as well. So I know it's just like getting started. Maybe is there any plans for like to and use that a little bit more?
I mean, I definitely would like to use it a lot more, but I don't have the time to like edit all my videos and take videos, and I'm just busy with school, volleyball, and racing and everything. So I normally have my camera guy do it. His name's Diego, so I normally have him edit all my stuff, but I've just been so busy lately. But
wait, your cameraman Diego, is that Diego Alvarado?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, I know Diego. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, he's on.
So you said you're also in volleyball, so you play a sport too?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Do you have any time off?
Yeah.
No.
That's incredible.
Wait, so when are your volleyball games? Does that interfere with your racing?
No, I have practice Monday through Thursday, and then my games are Tuesday and Thursday. So I mean, that are 3 days, but if it's volleyball or racing, I gotta go with racing. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Priorities.
Podcast can approve of that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it's like doing two sports at once, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. One is just in the gym for a few hours. The other one is driving an out of control speed demon. So.
So I have to ask as well. This question: does anyone at your high school kind of give you a hard time, like oh, it's not a sport, what are you talking about, and stuff like sort of the usual ignorance from people who don't watch motorsports? Is there any of that?
Definitely a lot of them, but I mean, there are a couple people that are like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, I can't believe you're 16, you're a girl and you race cars. But a lot of them are like, oh, you drive race cars? You just, like, go in left circles all day? Ha, that's so funny. That's not a sport. I'm like, okay, car for 3 hours in 150 degrees, and you tell me it's not a sport. But
I'll say it like this: just getting onto a little race on iRacing can wear you out enough as it is. I can only imagine the physical toll it really takes on actually driving a race car.
Exactly. Yeah.
On the hand-eye coordination too. I mean, 1 second you screw up and you end up hitting somebody.
You gotta turn perfect every single time for 200 laps.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. So you said that follow you on your Instagram. How about Twitter? Because I had that. I'm not on Instagram, so I just left your Twitter link in the description.
Yes.
Is that cool?
Yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
like your cat.
Oh,
Yeah, we have a special guest there from Gino.
Hello.
Gino's stealing the show.
It's Chloe. She's a brat. Okay, there she goes. All right, she's gone.
Chloe's our Keelan Harvick for the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kayla.
That's okay.
So we were just talking about the Michigan race and stuff. Do you have any thoughts, opinions on on what happened last week?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I mean, it was a pretty good race, but I don't know.
It was a good race for Michigan standards. Exactly. Like, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you able to keep up with like top NASCAR series regularly, or does your racing schedule really interfere a lot with that?
My racing schedule does interfere with that a lot because I'm either waking up super early Sunday to drive home or fly home from the races, but whenever I can watch a race, I definitely am.
So you being out there where you're from, do you go to Auto Club and Sonoma whenever it comes in?
Yes, whenever it comes in, I'm for sure always there. I was just up at Sonoma this last race, so it was pretty awesome, but it's very, very hot.
Nice.
What do you think about the Big Three? You a fan of it?
What was that?
What do you think about the Big Three, like Harvick, Truex, and Kyle Busch?
Could you beat him? Could you take him?
I definitely think I can, but
that's a spirit.
Yeah, I actually got a chance to race against Kyle Busch in the Winter Showdown. But, well, I was practicing with him, but I got taken out in the heat race. So I wasn't able to make the race because my car was totaled at the end of it, which is a pretty big bummer, but we'll be back this year for the Winter Showdown.
Let me just say, I like the confidence right there. Like, I could take all of them and stuff. These are Cub guys and stuff. Yeah, I like that.
I definitely can, for sure.
To kind of playing off that confidence, how much, especially on the way up, does confidence play a role in it? Because I know a lot of, bigger name drivers always say that confidence plays a big role in building it. What on the way up, I guess, would confidence play in that?
It still definitely plays a pretty big role in racing. I mean, you can't be too cocky about it, but you just got to be humble in everything that you do with it. You definitely have to have the mindset that you can do it and that you put in the most work and able to be the best. And so you can't really just be like, oh, they're better than me, so why try? But you definitely have to have pretty good amount of confidence. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions for Kayla?
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, pretty much got everything we needed.
Yeah, I think this has been very fun for us. It's been very open, just fun discussion. I hope it's been fun for you, Kayla.
Yes, it was awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you for
coming
on. Again, where can they find you at?
My Instagram is Kayla Eshleman, but with 2 N's. Twitter is the same thing. Facebook's Kayla Eshleman. So basically, all my social media is the same.
All right, and there you go, folks. This has been the 2028 Daytona 500 winner, Kayla Eshleman, been on the stream with us tonight.
We promise we'll be on after that. All right, thank you so much for coming on, Kayla.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
That was awesome. That's
pretty cool.
It's nice to hear drivers on the way up.
Mm-hmm. I like it when we can get guests who are just, like I understand some people who have to be a little bit more professional, but I love it when they can just get on here, be themselves, and just have a good time. That's what I like. Yeah. Open discussion like that.
That's very cool.
It's really cool because the more of these young upcoming drivers we get on, at some point, some of these people are going to be real superstars.
Yeah, at some point they're going to be real big and stuff. But the one thing I like though, which was crazy and stuff, I mean, just her confidence and stuff, man. Like she was just straight up, I'm gonna the big three, I can take those guys and stuff.
It's cool. She practices against Kyle Busch too, and that she thinks she could actually end up beating him. But I mean, it's just like Eric Jones. Eric Jones beat Kyle Busch at the Snowball Derby, and that opened Kyle Busch's eyes. So all Kayla has to do is do that to. She probably won't race against a Kyle Busch in the future, but she might. You never know. But she beats a well-known driver that they might get.
I mean, it's amazing what all you can do. You never know who's watching. Dale Jr. has admitted he's seen people racing against online and realized there was potential there. So.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these drivers are really good scouts for talent. We named Dale Jr., but even guys like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick. I mean, all it takes is just, one person seeing at the right time. So
I want to say this. Kyle Busch is going to go down in history as being a great driver, but he's also the closer he gets to eventually getting out of sport and going into more of an ownership role, he's going to be known, I think, in the same similar way that Dale Jr. is going to be known for the rest of his career as being a great scout for talent and owner.
Yeah, easily.
And also just really
Jones and Bell.
And also speaking of junior motorsports, I know you guys were talking about it earlier when my mic was roboting there. Elliott Sadler announcing his retirement and stuff. As soon as I saw that announcement, I immediately tweeted out, Jesse Little needs that ride. Jesse Little, up and coming truck driver who's made some Cup Series starts. I think he's supposed to make a Cup Series start this weekend, so that'd be nice to see him in the Cup Series again. Give him that opportunity.
It'd be great to see, but maybe not this year, but perhaps even the year after that. Maybe Michael Annett won't be back, and then there's a chance there.
About Sadler is that I've heard Bain is rumored to take his ride.
Oh,
how many chances? I like Trevor Bain; he's a good guy. But how many chances can a guy get? You know what?
Sponsorship, man.
I heard that, but I've heard stronger rumors though about Noah Gregson going.
Yeah, I heard Ryan Preece too. I've heard his name thrown out there.
Ryan Preece is a big rumor to actually take AJ Allmendinger's contract.
Hold up. Can we talk about that rumor we were talking about there?
Yeah. Go ahead, Darian.
Okay. So Jerry, I'll say the first two parts of it, and then you take like the last surprising part. You know what I'm talking about?
About the Cup stuff?
Yeah. Well, no. I'll lead into you and stuff really quick. So, all right. So on Twitter last week, I was like, watch this podcast. We got, some rumors going around and stuff. And we have a source. I'm not going to say his source. He's anonymous and stuff. But let's just say I would say this is pretty credible. This is a pretty credible source here. So last week, there were rumors going around that JTG Dottie Racing wasn't going to re-sign AJ Allmendinger. And there was rumors floating around that Ryan Preece and Daniel Hemrick were going to take the rides. So our source told us on Twitter through DMs that Ryan Preece has already been offered a contract for next season, for the 2019 season, to drive the 47 car. And right now he is currently pondering whether to go straight up into the Cup Series with that team, develop his skills in the Cup Series, or just stay where he is at Joe Gibbs. And this is the even crazier part too of this next rumor. Jared, do you want me to say it, or you want to say it? Okay, all right. So this is the even crazier part. So it is being. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw something. It is being also being told that this whole deal is being orchestrated together by none other than last week's winner, Kevin Harvick, as a potential benchmark for future business. And what I mean by that is to eventually get him to drive for Stewart-Haas Racing in the future. Now, this is also the other crazy part. I don't know when Harvick's contract is up. I'm assuming it's up at 2020. So maybe after the 2020 season, we could possibly be seeing Kevin Harvick's retirement, his farewell season that year, and Ryan Preece jumping up into the Cup Series to take over the 4 car. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
If we so you're saying the deal with JTG is being primarily organized by him? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what my source said. That's what our source told us.
With that being said, that makes me wonder if that presents a great opportunity for JTG to leave Chevy and go over to a Ford partnership with SHR then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could either be that, it could be to eventually get him up to the series, to drive for Stewart-Haas Racing, or it could be to later. I mean, maybe it can be as a later deal to have them switch to Ford and maybe have buy their engines and maybe some of their equipment, something like that. But what the source said was this is the deal being set up to eventually sway him over to Stewart-Haus Racing in the future.
Just kind of like when Jones went to Furniture Row for a year, and now he's with Gibbs. That was set up by Joe Gibbs.
But the thing is, though, Gibbs. Furniture Row Racing already had a deal in place with Joe Gibbs, so it's kind of weird to see. I don't know. It's kind of odd because Stewart-Haas and JTG Dottie Racing. I mean, they both run different manufacturers, and I don't know. They don't have any sort of connection, I guess, other than this now. So I don't know. It's just kind of odd.
Maybe we could hear news about them switching to Ford in the coming months.
Yeah, right.
Going off of this subject, talking about Joe Gibbs and stuff, this brings me up into a subject that I've talked about a lot. that's just what happens when you have too much developmental talent, because you can't retain them all, because you won't have a place for them with your shop, and other people are going to pick them up.
Yeah.
And really quick, again, none of it's confirmed yet, but our source did say that they knew about, like, you know, they knew back in September, August 2017 about where Priest was going to be in 2018. So it's like it's not confirmed, but you know.
Yeah, we wouldn't just be saying this. We wouldn't just be saying this if this was some random, like, I mean, they predicted, I mean, they said the same thing last year, that he would eventually, you know, race more races for Joe Gibbs and stuff this year. So yeah, I mean, they're pretty credible.
Yeah. So when it is announced, you heard it here first, and you can tell everyone about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Give them the link. Really quick, David will be on in a bit. We're going to go over any more silly season stuff, our picks, and then I'll say a quick deal, and Danny will say a quick thing. We got just two different things. I'm promoting something, he's announcing something. So we'll have David on after that. I'll send him the link as soon as we're done with that. Is there any other silly season stuff we want to go over?
Yes. You know, there's a lot of rumors between Kurt Busch, Jamie McMurray, Martin Truex Jr., all sorts of things.
Yeah, I think that the Kurt Busch to the one car, if motorsports.com or whatever one it was, I forgot which one, but it was pretty credible. If they're saying this stuff, then all they have left is to announce it. I'm pretty sure he's going there.
Yeah. I saw a paint scheme today with the 41 Monster scheme. I was like, I didn't even know. I mean, they might consider bringing the 41 back over there, but I think that's Stuart Haas's number. I don't think they're going to get rid of that.
Yeah, and Teresa still has a hand in CGR, doesn't she?
No, she sold it finally.
It's entirely Ganassi at this point.
Okay, cool.
No, if she did, that team would probably be dead by now. So,
which
and of course the font on the number one changed as well.
She could never, and well, actually they changed it on both the 1 and the 42 to make it uniquely different, so that she couldn't say anything.
Oh yeah.
Because even there in that brief period when they was fielding Montoya's car with that same font, you know, technically she could have said that was hers too. So.
Oh wow.
I do want to know with Kurt Busch going there, how he performs in comparison with Jamie McMurray. Because if we go there and the one car is in the top 10 in points and competes for wins every now and then, or even just is on our television screen, then we know that maybe it's not as much equipment. Maybe because the whole narrative is that Larson is making Ganassi look better than it is.
Yeah.
If Kurt Busch starts running well, I think that shows that Ganassi's a lot more ahead than we thought, and it's not all Kyle Larson, I guess.
I want to say this: if he does go to the one car, I already have a throwback idea for him. Throwback to the number 1 of James Finch Nationwide Series car that he won Daytona in, because that was probably the lowest point of his career, and he still came above that level that he had put himself to, and he rose above that. That would be a good throwback to that car.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so mind blowing to me how that team has and how McMurray has. They just regressed last year. You know, you make the play, you get into the playoffs on consistency, and now all of a sudden it's just straight downhill. And I guess for the most part, he has underachieved in that car to a certain extent. I mean, yeah, he had the 3-win season in 2010, but other than that, what else has he done besides make the playoffs?
That's it, really.
Yeah, and also he won the 2014 All-Star race, but I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, yeah, you get a cool $1 million in that, but it doesn't really count for points or anything like that. So
I think that race they just had the right car. I mean, that's just all that there was for that one.
McMurray's always been good at Charlotte too. That's where he got his first win, and he won the Bank of America 500 back in 10. So
yeah,
McMurray's been decent at Charlotte, so it wasn't really a major fluke.
He's also been fairly decent at a track like Bristol. He might run good this weekend.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say aside from
because he is on the hot seat.
Aside from then, McMurray throughout his career, aside from his first win and the win at Indianapolis and Charlotte, everything else is plates. You know, he's a one-dimensional driver, I guess, when it comes to competing for wins at what tracks it is. It's probably going to be just plate tracks.
Here is an idea if they could get the sponsorships for it. If Matt Kenseth isn't really wanting to race full-time next year, what if they brought back to 26 for Roush?
I don't know. That ride has such bad memories to me because it was nothing but wrecks and just.
It was nothing but a good paint scheme.
4 finishes.
Yeah.
And, it was so
nothing,
bad.
It was nothing but a good paint
NASCAR
scheme.
history.
It ended well. It ended with a win at Talladega.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but,
Mark Martin flipped like 5 times that race.
yeah, but he finished McMurray finished like what 20-something in points that year. Oh, it was so bad. It was
dark times for McMurray.
And that was supposed to be like the team where McMurray finally arrived and stuff because heading into 2006,
it's a powerhouse.
Yeah, heading into 2006, Kurt Busch had just been released. McMurray was taking over. That was Kurt Busch's former team, so that was a championship team. He was inheriting, and even that season, he was just bad.
Well, and every Roush car had made the chase the previous year, and that was back when it was top 10 made the chase. So.
And McMurray was 11th in the points at the previous season, so I was like, even as a young kid, I was like, yeah, he's gonna finally show up, and then it was bad. It was just horrible.
Another one I saw on your video, Eric, was Casey Kane and Levine maybe switching manufacturers too.
Yeah, from what I read recently, the owner of Levine Family Racing, I don't remember his name, probably Bob Levine or something, said that they are 90% sure that they're going to be switching manufacturers. And I can't remember if it was the same article I read or something else I read that said it was going to be Toyota, but I did read that it was going to be that they were hoping to align themselves in some way, shape, or form with Furniture Row or JGR, kind of build the collective Toyota super team, which I'm excited for if that's true, because, I was finishing, I saw some Casey Kane fans comment on my video, like, oh, I don't want him to go to Toyota. I like him as Chevy, but
so you also like him running 28th then. So
yeah, I just think it's funny how people hate Toyota so much, but I think it's a great move if they do it, because we've seen how it's helped Furniture Row. They were on the upswing when they were still a Chevy in the 78 car, but when they switched to Toyota, Truex immediately was a championship contender. So I'm excited if it happens, because Casey Kane might still make the playoffs next year if this happens.
Here's something that I'm kind of thinking about is, so we have Levine going from Chevy to probably Toyota. We got JTG possibly going to Ford. I mean, how many Chevys are left in the field? We might be looking at 5-6 years down the road, a Dodge situation here.
It's looking like we got Hendrick and Ganassi and just the small teams like Starcom.
Yeah, I mean,
Childress too.
Yeah.
We all forget about Childress.
I mean, Chevy's gone from having more than half the cars in the field to, Toyota is still realistically this year has 5 competitive cars. Like really only 5 cars are Toyotas out of 40.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for that number to go up, and so forth. So Chevy's going to come down, but it's still the majority.
Who's to say that somebody like Front Row Motorsports, they were Chevy for a long time. They could potentially go back at some point. You never know.
I just think with Chevy, what's the incentive? The only guys out there who are actually competitive in Chevys are Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, 2 people who have been touted as like the newest, best racing talents over the last few years.
We've seen some good runs out of other ones, but
I mean, you look and Petty, they're a Chevy, but they're linked with Childress. Both those teams are mediocre at best. And then you look at Hendrick, and aside from Chase Elliott, I mean, William Byron has showed some flashes. Alex Bowman has run better than last year, but the 88 team was complete garbage last year. And then Jimmy Johnson even is just continued his career fall. I mean, there isn't that incentive there other than they offered us a lot of money.
So do you think that the introduction of the Camaro has scared away teams from Chevy? Is that what you think?
I don't think so.
I feel like
I don't think so.
It's hard I feel like that's not a decision. Like, I think Levine Family Racing switching to Toyota is more because TRD offers probably more support to them than what they're getting right now. But like, Yeah, I don't know. I think it has to do more with that. I think what Toyota is doing is almost like their own version of the Golden State Warriors, where they're kind of you're only allowed to have 4 drivers on your team, but they keep adding Truex. Maybe they add Casey Kane, and they're all.
I never thought of it like that. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
The Chevys the Chevys and Fords do not lean on each other the same way the Toyotas do. So the Toyotas are kind of like a collective family of dominance, whereas all the other manufacturers are still kind of doing things their own way. So I don't know if that's why. I think that's why Toyota is looking so promising to a lot of teams.
I do want to say this: getting Casey Kane back to a Toyota, I think, would be great for his career. If you look back to his 1 year with Red Bull, actually looking back on it, was actually one of his more competitive seasons. Like he only got one win, but it seemed like he was in the top 5 a lot during that time.
2011 was a good year for NASCAR too, all around. We saw a lot of different winners. So that was definitely a good year. And
we had 18 different winners.
Maybe they reviving Casey Kane. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I said last week that, I mean, with this whole rumor, with this rumor of his team switching to Toyota, I mean, I said, could we possibly be seeing another version of like a Martin Truex Jr. front row story? I mean, Casey Kane, like, he's had success early in his career and stuff, but, recent years and stuff, he's been under scrutiny too from some fans who were calling him washed up. And someone said, "Oh, you should make a bus video on Casey Kane," and well, that's not happening.
Okay, no, you can't do that. The guy's won more than 10 Cup races. You definitely can't do that.
If you win as long as you're consistent, or if he didn't win, but if he was like consistent, then I wouldn't call him a bust or anything like that. But I mean, it would be nice to see him back, in the playoffs and stuff. I don't know if they're immediately going to make the playoffs after the switch next year. I don't think that, but it would be great to see him run in the top 20s and top 15 and maybe a top 10 here and there.
Well, I think we should cut the silly season talk for now here. Yeah. We should get to our picks really quick. Some guy named David Land is asking me when David Land will be on. So let's get to our picks really quick, and then Danny can make his announcement, and I can do my quick little promotion that, for what I'm going to do. So who do we think is going to suck this week at Bristol?
Okay, I'll go first. Who do I think is going to suck? William Byron. I mean, he was my underdog last week, and just look what he did. I don't know. He was just rushed up way too early, and I don't know. He's usually inconsistent, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was inconsistent again this week. So William Byron, he's going to suck.
I want to be wrong about this, and Gino's going to be mad at me, but it's honestly the truth. In the night race last year, he got up into the lead, but then he finished it pretty bad. Spring race this year, he crashed early on. It's not always his best track, but he is running 2 races this weekend. But I don't know if Chase Elliott's going to do the best this weekend.
I'll go. You're probably, especially after the spring race, people probably aren't going to like this one. But the spring race and the night race, completely different races, completely different track. And I think with it being a lot faster pace, really seemingly, and just with the fact that usually upset people in the first race tend not to do as well in the second. And for his season, I don't think Bubba's going to do so hot this weekend.
That Diego guy picked Bubba to win on the N2SC4's podcast. Yeah, that was insane. So I just want to point that out.
I love Bubba, man, but
yeah, I'm a fan of his, but come on, let's be real.
You stole mine because I was actually going to say Bubba Wallace too, for basically the exact same reason you gave. I know everyone wants him to do well, and I know he did pretty well here this last earlier this year, but I don't know, just the idea that he could. I think there's a lot more hype going into this race for him than any other race this season, especially because of how he ran here earlier. And I just don't see him living up to it. I think he'll run 20th. He could pull an Allmendinger and blow an engine or wreck himself. I don't know. I don't think he's going to run. I'll be shocked if he even finishes top 10, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the bust of the week, and it hurts to say this because I want to see Suarez do so well, but for some reason I just see him struggling at the night race because he needs to run well. He needs this for his playoff chances, but and he's ran well the last couple weeks, but for some reason, I think the momentum kind of stalls out on the 19 team. That's my bust of the weekend.
All right, so who do we think is going to be an underdog? Now, remember, underdog can be an underdog for the top 5, top 10, top 20, so.
All right, since I went first, I would have to say the underdog this week. Well, you guys know how much I like this guy, and he was my underdog for the Kentucky race. I believe Jesse Little is entered for this week, and so that's my underdog and stuff. Again, yes, he's not with like the best team and stuff, but what it's really about is like how he races out there and stuff. Like, is he gonna get in the leader's way? Is he gonna get out of people's way and stuff? And at Kentucky, for someone who's never even made one single Xfinity start, I was impressed. So yeah, Jesse Little, my underdog pick. Hopefully he can maybe get inside the top 30. I hope, but yeah, we'll see.
For my underdog for this one, I'm going to go with somebody who I think still, even though he's got a win now, he still could be considered an underdog to a certain point. I think Eric Jones is definitely going to be a strong contender for a top 5, maybe even be close to the win. So Eric Jones will be my underdog in this case.
All right, my underdog is going to be an underdog for the top 20. He's done well here before, but again, with the team he's at now, I don't think that a top 5, top 10 is really feasible unless there's attrition, but top 20 definitely is. And I'm going to go with Matt DiBenedetto. I think that he can keep his nose clean long enough. I think he'll get a top 20 with, Go Fast is what he's with now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that team is, before he got there, was a perennial 30th to 40th place car. I think he can get it to a top 20. And my other underdog pick has actually been put in the chat. I won't say which one, but it's in the same vein as DiBenedetto.
I see Sylvie Gang says McDowell. I'm going to go on a limb. Is that it?
Yeah, I could say that one.
Yep, that was my other one.
He qualified in the fastest 12 earlier in the spring, so.
Then he wrecked Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I remember because like Jeff Gluck and all of them were like, oh, and see how much the fans know. Look at how well he did. And it's like, that wasn't really called for, but okay. I see how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing it made me think of was the 2012 night race when qualifying got rained out and then Casey Mears was on the pole.
Yeah, that whole race was great.
Yeah.
So we should have known from there that it was just going to be an amazing, great race. What are our other underdog picks?
Farmville.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yep. I remember that. I was saying it was so funny.
Actually.
It was so funny. I hadn't had any time to even look at what qualifying was like, and I walk in, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, the Geico car's on the pole. That's interesting."
My underdog pick for this weekend at Bristol. I'm a little surprised you didn't go with him, Danny. I feel like I should have picked your guy, and you should have picked my guy. I think Alex Bowman is a safe spot to at least run top 5, maybe win the race if something good happens. You never know. He's got to beat Kyle Busch, but he could be there. So yeah, Alex Bowman. He ran well here in the spring. That's my pick.
Yeah, definitely.
That was my pick too.
I
was gonna make Danny feel bad.
I feel bad.
Eric, Alex's chances this weekend too, but Eric Almirola is my underdog now that Eric took my pick. So Almirola, I think, will have a good shot at it.
He's got a good looking car. I think it's going to look nice under the lights.
Yep, I hope he runs well. I like Eric. Both Erics.
And now,
all three Erics, I guess.
The moment that everyone's waiting for. Who are our winning picks?
Well, I'm not going to go out of the box like I have the past 2 weeks. Like, sorry, guys, you can't mess with the master. And Kyle Busch is the master. So Kyle Busch, he's
3 in a row, huh?
He's going to get 3 in a row. He's going to, not only is he going to take the pole again, he's going to win again. So
is he in a truck race tomorrow night?
No.
Fun fact, Kyle cannot race in this one because it is the cutoff race for the truck series. And also another thing, Harrison Burton is not medically clear to race tomorrow. Christopher Bell will be in the 51 tomorrow.
All right. Thanks for the news. Dang.
Also, I'll be there. Watch for me.
Yep.
What truck are you driving?
Well, okay, I lied. It's not Christopher Bell. They called me up last second.
Spoiled the surprise. Oh.
Right.
Christopher Bell wins the race. They pull in the victory lane, and out emerges Danny. Also celebrating. The crowd gasps.
So Danny, who are you gonna watch win on Saturday night?
It's funny what Eric said, because I don't feel bad, because my pick to win is Alex Bowman. I mentioned earlier, like, okay, I was thinking about going with Ryan Blaney, but I've just been thinking, if there's any track that Bowman has the best chance to get that win and lock himself in, it would be this one. I mentioned, hey, be a little bit aggressive, do something to win it, and this is the one I could see it happening.
Nope.
Wow.
Very brave of you. I just
Very brave.
I assumed you
So this is going to be like Darian a few weeks back when we all doubted him about Chase Elliott. So.
Oh, I don't doubt you. Oh no, I don't doubt you.
Yeah.
I do.
He's not.
I do.
I'll be genuinely surprised.
If he wins,
Let me say
my
this.
God,
Let me say this. I don't see him winning another one this season, but this is the one I see.
Fair enough.
I could
If-
see
if
him.
he
I
wins-
maybe. Go ahead.
Oh, a few wins. Hail to the king.
Yeah,
Jeez.
if he wins, you have to make a video like I did with Chase
Oh,
Elliott.
I will.
No, you have to make a better one, because it's like, at least Chase Elliott's been close.
Yeah,
Like before Watkins Glen, it's like
Bowman's been good for like 2 weeks.
I shouldn't
something like
trash
that.
talk. I shouldn't trash talk. I shouldn't.
I mean, Bowman was one car I never seen get away from the top like few cars there in the spring. So
Okay.
And you know what? I guess looking back, he was running up front at certain parts in that race too.
So is Johnson.
he stayed consistently around the top 5 all day in the spring, and on both days.
All right, so see what happens.
All right.
And not to mention, he started last week off very strong. They gave it up at the end, but they had some kind of momentum going for him.
Oh, I'm not going to go too much outside the box either, but I have too much pride to pick Kyle Busch again. So I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. Well, I mean, you can't go wrong with Harvick.
Yeah.
He's strong. Just about, it doesn't matter what his stats are. He's strong everywhere he goes. And and when I didn't have any other good reason earlier in the season, I picked Harvick. He ended up winning for me anyway. So I'm picking Harvick.
He's won there 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Every single time this year that I've gone out of the box, it's really come back to bite me. That's why I picked Harvick last week and got that one right. But I'm not going to sit here and like brag about it because it's Harvick. I gave you 60% of the chat probably picked Kevin Harvick, but we got that one right. So it makes sense to go inside, stay inside the box this week. I was really, before last week's race, I was probably going to pick Kyle Larson as my pick to win this race, and he's my sentimental pick. I'd love to see Larson win this one. I think it's his best chance probably since the last time we were at Bristol. We've seen him. He's just been so inconsistent. He was terrible last week in Michigan. I don't know what happened. He was trash, garbage. I don't know. This is supposed to be one of his best tracks. He could barely break the top 20. He was garbage. It was really offensive to watch him drive in circles last week. I was offended by it.
Pretty bad.
Garbage.
So I just because that race offended my sensibilities so heavily as a semi-Larson fan, I'm not picking him to win this week. I think he'll run top 5, but he's not winning. Kyle Busch is my pick because he's Kyle freaking Busch, and he wins here every time. It's Kyle.
He's the master of Bristol.
Fun fact though, he's never won 3 races in a row. Spring made 2, so.
Wow. All right. So my heart wants diversity really bad, but unfortunately I see that diversity going against me, and I think Denny Hamlin's going to win. Yeah. I mean,
to a certain point, the way this season's went, that could be diversity. So
yeah.
Please be wrong.
Well, I mean, he hasn't won yet. I mean, like I want a new winner, but unfortunately, the winner will be Denny Hamlin. A close second for a new winner would be. This is like a sentimental pick, like Eric said, but I think it would be Jimmy Johnson. The older Johnson gets, he's kind of like he has the Gordon effect to him. A lot of people hated Gordon through the mid 2000s. And as Gordon gets older, it's like he can't win anymore as much as he used to. And I think that's the way Johnson's getting with me. And I would like to see Jimmy win because I know probably short tracks are the only hope for Hendrick at this point, short tracks and road courses. So Johnson would be cool, but I think Hamlin gets it done.
I think that effect goes into really any kind of sport program because, with the PGA this past weekend, everyone was like kind of behind Tiger Woods and he just come up short.
Yeah.
Do you think that happened to Kyle Busch? That's a good debate.
Yeah.
I think the difference is that like Johnson and Gordon never really antagonized the fans much in their career compared to the way that Kyle Busch loves to do. I mean,
Johnson pissed off a lot of people winning 5 in a row.
Yeah, but I mean, like intentionally. Like
Johnson didn't mean to. Or it's like Kyle Busch, like he loves it. He lives in that. And
like the little crying thing at Chicagoland.
That was so lame. That was so lame.
No, but I mean, and it's not going against a disservice to it. It's not a disservice to his talent. Talent wise, I think he's right up there with both of them. I think it's just that when you go and you purposefully start, and it's fun. I mean, trolling fans is fun. Let's not get around it. Darian's made a damn, he's made a career out of it over the last few months.
Basically.
He can tell you.
Basically.
Why do you think everyone's here for David Land tonight?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that at some point, I think definitely after his career, I think is when he'll probably get the most credit for his career. I think it's a similar situation to Jimmy Johnson and similar to Jeff Gordon in that respect. I think that it's just the way they've went about their careers is why they're going to be viewed differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Danny, you wanna make your announcement really quick, and I'll say my piece, and we'll get David on here. And...
So, boys, it's been a fun ride. It really has. All the great friends I've made doing this for so long. All the great memories. Got partnered by YouTube, but after all this time, I think it's time to say that I ain't deleting my channel. I'm not doing that. But being serious here though, there is a lot going on in my life currently right now. I am getting ready to move to Nashville, Tennessee. That's a 4-hour move. A lot going on, a lot to pack away here. Eric is currently in the middle of a move, but it's arguably not as large of a move as what it's not as large of a move as what I'm about to do. Yeah. I'll be starting a new job around September 16th, so about a month from now. Actually going to be going into car sales. I'll be selling Toyotas for Beeman Toyota in Nashville. So if you're going to be looking for a new Toyota, contact Danny B.
I'll take mine up there to get it serviced.
Oh, wait. That's a big move.
What'd you say in the chat again, Danny? Announcing how'd you pronounce Toyota? Toyota or something like that?
Yeah, I'll be selling
sport.
I'll be selling Toyotas. So
hey guys, buy this Toyota now and you get a free subscription of my YouTube channel.
There you go.
There you go. Awesome.
All right, so
we're basically.
I do want to say another thing. Someone pointed out comment in the comments. I actually do want to say I have a little bit of a disease. I have ligma.
Oh, damn. Okay. I got it too because I didn't retweet some tweet. So.
Oh God.
All right.
You just lost my sympathy.
Okay. Little bit. I'm gonna go on a little sadder note. I was on Twitter this week and I was sent something. Corey Lockwood, or I think it's his name in the chat. He sent me something originally from Ashley Stremme. There's this little boy, Caleb. I think he's around like 12 years old or so. He's been fighting leukemia for a while, and he elected to stop the treatment. Now, the reason this came up is he's a huge racing fan, and he wants to have his casket covered in racing stickers. And so people have been spreading it around. I saw right before we went live, Dale Jr. even retweeted it. So I put the address to send the stickers to in the description. I'm gonna send one. I forgot to bring it up here, but I have a few racing stickers that I'm gonna send. I urge everybody in the chat, my co-hosts, guests on here, everybody, all it takes is just putting it in an envelope and going down to the post office. That's it. I think that I think this would be a good thing to show little Caleb that this is what the racing family is all about, that push come to shove, we're all here for each other. And so just that's my piece on that. I think we should help him out with that, because I think we all got racing stickers around here. There we go.
Yeah,
I'll present that really quick.
I hate to jump back over you on this real fast, but I do want to say something that was asked in the comments. Someone asked, am I leaving the podcast? More or less, with me and YouTube, I'll probably be taking a break. I'm going to try to appear here and there. I might actually miss a few of these.
But he's not. It's not permanent. He'll be back.
It's more or less like a month break, so to speak, which you'll probably see something here and there. I'll be doing a vlog from the Bristol race weekend, I'm sure. And with that being said here, I just wanted to do one thing here real fast. Hold on. It's officially Bristol week, guys, and we're starting the vlog off here with the NASCAR podcast. There's Iceberg right there, Darian. And, going to the Truck Series race tomorrow. Going to be a lot of fun. And, you're going to be watching this again on DannyBTalks here. All right, that's the start of the vlog. Awkward transition.
That's awesome.
All right. So everyone share that it's in the description, the address, I believe. Let me see, but everyone just share that on social media, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Get the word out while we can. And with that, I'm going to send the link to David Land. We'll start getting a little more cheery here.
Let's go.
All right, link is sent. So here we go.
Right. 2 hours later.
Literally almost.
I'm gonna pull a Keemstar here. I don't have popcorn, but I got cheese balls.
Cheese ball
in a can. What is that?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know either.
I'm actually going to be muting myself just because I want to enjoy it without interrupting.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
We'll be sort of like moderators, mediators, the rest of us, and I don't know. Here we go.
There we go.
Run, all NASCAR fans hide.
Well, he's almost here.
I'm almost here.
Are you in your car?
Let's go over.
Are you in the Pocono Mountains again?
No.
Oh.
I didn't do that. He muted himself.
Got him.
Oh, he's just getting set up, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you, Boney Chuck, in the chat. Thank you.
The NASCAR fanatics have attacked him.
He does have a webcam, right? I'm assuming.
He didn't have to have one.
Oh, well, yeah.
No. Anyone read any good books lately?
Jurassic Park, like for the 5th time.
Oh, I love that one.
That's a book?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was originally a book.
Was it really? Damn, Hollywood. Even when I think Hollywood's original, it turns out it was based off a book.
No,
it's not like the book. Yeah, the first two are based on the books, but it's a sort of bits here and there.
The Lost World book's a lot better than the movie.
Yeah, I do think the Lost World movie is really underrated, though.
Yeah, it is, in a sense.
It's my second favorite.
Oh
no, we lost him.
I win. I was going to win anyway.
It's over. It's over.
Oh, geez, he just sent me a DM. David said, hang on, my house just lost power. God damn it, guys. I said no sabotage.
Oh, my gosh.
Wait, are you serious?
He had better reception than the Pocono Mountain.
There he goes. There he goes. He's back.
I cannot hear anybody yet.
Okay, we can see you.
We can see you.
Can you hear us yet?
Can you hear me? Because I cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone give double thumbs up.
Oh, there we go. I got it. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you may notice it's a little bit dark in my house right now. Apparently, we just blew a fuse or something. Somehow the internet is still working. This lamp is still working. My lights up top are not working. My computer's working, and it's plugged in. So I don't know how all this has worked, but it's working. So we'll go with it.
Well, hey, first off, man, go ahead, Jarrett.
Really quick, I just want to lay out. So the sort of deal here, Me, Eric, Gino, and Danny are going to sort of just be quietly watching. I'm going to be doing my Keemstar impersonation, and
out.
you guys can.
Oh, there we go.
You can have fun. We'll just sort of pipe in when it's
periodically.
All right. So first off, I want to say thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
It's I have a lot of respect for you for coming on here and stuff like that too, and not just like saying stuff on Twitter and stuff. When I offered, you immediately responded. So much respect to that, man.
That's not a problem. It's one of those things where it's like, if we're gonna have a discussion, let's have a discussion. Let's not just
exactly
shout at each other on Twitter. That gets nothing done, despite the fact that I do that a whole lot. So.
Yeah. All right. So I guess to start this off is I want to clear the air here. I watch all motorsports. Not just NASCAR. I watch F1 and IndyCar as well. I'm a motorsports enthusiast, and on my channel next year, I am planning to start, uploading some F1 and IndyCar content in the future next year. So I don't know how the IndyCar community probably feels about that. They'll probably have mixed feelings about that, but I was planning on to do that anyways. So the reason I said what I said on Twitter, which it just exploded. I didn't think it was going to get that big, but it definitely divided some people, is because I am just, to a certain extent, sick of some of these IndyCar fans who just like IndyCar and who don't like NASCAR and stuff. It seems to me that some of your fan base is taking pride in NASCAR's recent ratings fall, which is really funny to me because if you compare the viewership with NASCAR, even some of the races on the same network, they don't even come close. Like, not even close. So basically, let me just say this. Like, NASCAR's ratings for years have been up here, and IndyCars were up here and stuff, right? So recently, NASCAR's, fallen, and recently IndyCar just had a little rating spike, and all of a sudden now it's like, oh man, IndyCar is gonna take over the whole motorsports landscape. Oh man, it's just, and I don't know, it's just there's no factual evidence to back that up to me. That's just, I don't know. That's why I said what I said.
I prepared data for this. I'm just letting you know.
All right, go ahead. So did I.
No, well, okay. So I did want to start this out with a couple of questions. You've already answered one of mine, which was I was a bit confused of the context of your initial statement. I had only seen people had tagged me in it because, of course, they want me to, fight with anybody who's saying anything slightly negative.
And also, by the way, someone also said this on Twitter, like, "Oh, I was just doing this to get you on the podcast." If I did that, I would have tagged you in it. So
I've already been on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
No, okay. So yeah, because I didn't see you had replied to anybody. But I didn't know if it had been spurred on by one specific thing or whatever. So it's good to have some context.
Yeah.
What we also need to nail this down real quick because there's a potential narrative that may get formed here that's the wrong way to do it. We're specifically debating here because this was your statement,
right? Which
series is closer to death?
Yeah, just numbers, not like, when it comes to racing and stuff, just straight up numbers, viewership, all that stuff.
But we're also not debating the fact that NASCAR is bigger than IndyCar.
Right.
We're not debating that. So
right.
I just wanted to make sure we don't get into that conversation because it's not, it's a similar conversation, but it's not the same conversation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So yeah, I just simply disagree with your statement. And as I put out on Twitter, really, IndyCar has pretty much survived everything a racing series can possibly do to kill itself.
Yeah, if you ask me, well, just really quick, if you ask me, IndyCar, like, people say like NASCAR has done stupid stuff before. I mean, IndyCar, the whole split, I mean, that was just ridiculous. But all right, go ahead.
Oh yeah, well, let's give some context to maybe some of the viewers. This is a NASCAR podcast, after all. Mm-hmm. So the split was essentially a disagreement between the car owners in IndyCar at the time and the leadership of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, particularly Tony George. They felt like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway took too big of a chunk of the IndyCar revenues. The Speedway felt the same way. They couldn't end up coming to an agreement, so the team owners decided to strike out on their own they already did their own series, which was called CART, but they just decided we're not coming to the Indy 500 anymore. And then to counteract that, the Speedway started their own series, which is essentially the series that is continued today, which is the Indy Racing League. And they essentially killed the sport by first of all, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway spent all their money, particularly from their good business decisions with Formula One races and NASCAR races at the facility, bringing money in there. They threw that all into the Indy Racing League with the sole purpose of killing CART. At the same time, CART, without the Indianapolis 500, had all the big manufacturers, sponsors, and drivers, but eventually those all dried up, went to NASCAR, went to Formula One, because there was really nothing there. So eventually the CART series died. And really it's probably the only series that has straight up died in our time. And that's where I see a lot of the similarities with what is currently happening in NASCAR. And so when we talk about this question of which one's closer to death, I lean towards the NASCAR side of things, because the Indy Racing League, whatever you want to refer to it as, has been at such a low level for such a long time that that's certainly never a positive thing when you're talking about ratings around the half mark, 0.5. But when you've been selling your sponsors selling your partners that for 10 years, 15 years, however long this ratings trend has really been continuing, and essentially saying we've got one race that's going to be a big NASCAR style ratings thing, and they're able to continue the series without really there haven't really been a lot of questions recently of whether or not IndyCar is going to be around next year, or whether or not they'll be sold, or a lot of these things that maybe not so much are they going to be around here next year, but the things we kind of have started to hear about NASCAR. It's like, well, they may be thinking about selling it, maybe this, that, and the other. Things like that, again, that I've seen happen in the past to other racing series, particularly in the United States, makes my ears kind of perk up and go, ooh, things aren't quite rosy and unicorny around here.
Okay, all right, that's a good way to start off this debate, and some of the stuff, and I'm glad you gave context and stuff to the history of IndyCar and stuff. I guess the thing that I'm going to say is I could see why you think that, but NASCAR simply isn't open wheel racing. It's simply not IndyCar and stuff. All right, we already have built a fan base, specifically of a lot of blue collar citizens in this country, and IndyCar, while you do have some, it's more of a white collar sport. I've had people inside the industry and stuff. I recently got a PR internship at LVMS, and as soon as I brought up that whole argument on YouTube, because the Speedway is also subscribed to my channel.
LVMS is Las Vegas Motor Speedway, right?
Yes, Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Let's really quickly point out that there may be some negative bias towards IndyCar at that track. But
how so? They hosted open wheel racing in the past.
The Dan Weldon death was a huge.
Well, come on now. I mean, come on. Why would you be negative about that though?
It was an ugly PR thing. It was an ugly PR thing. That's why IndyCar didn't go back there.
Yeah, but that wasn't really. I don't know if that was more so the track's fault and stuff. That was more so IndyCar's fault for.
I agree. I agree. But the problem is, it happened at their track.
Yeah, I mean, no, but then again, we're talking about numbers here and stuff, all right? And he basically, what he told me was, well, first off, he laughed. He thought that was so funny. Yeah. And then second of all, he brought up certain points and stuff that I'm gonna use for this argument. I mean, you say the Indy League is on the rise and stuff, correct? On the rise in terms of
I would say it's hard to say. I wouldn't say rise. I would say it's
well, are they improving? Are they improving?
In what context?
Just in terms of, like, I guess the league overall, like, racing, viewership, all this stuff.
Well, viewership is about the same. It's been a little bit lower this year. Again, I've got a chart. I don't know if I can screen share on this, but I can show you all sorts of data.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll do that here in a second. So viewership has been about the same. Attendance has been up at Indianapolis. It's been up at the road and street circuits. It's been down at the ovals. The racing quality, I think those of you in the chat and those of you on the podcast who watch IndyCar regularly would probably agree with me that the racing's probably been better this year than it has been in a very long time, if not ever. So from that perspective, I guess, yes, you could say, if you look at it as a whole, IndyCar is probably on the rise. But from from the perspective that we're talking, the hard numbers right now, it's level. It's really not gone very high up, but it's also not going very far down. Now, if we're talking about the Indy 500 specifically, I would absolutely
I'm just talking
say
about
that's
the league.
going up. Yeah,
the
so the
league.
league,
Yeah, I'm just talking about the league.
It's a flat line.
It's a flat line. Okay.
Not up, not down.
All right, so then I have to ask the question, can you explain Phoenix? Because they want nothing to do with you guys at all.
Well, that's what happens when you put on a crappy show 3 years in a row and nobody shows up. I mean,
well, how's that the Speedway's fault? Is that the Speedway's fault, or would you say
Oh,
that's...
yeah. Well, I would say it's the Speedway's fault for changing it in the first place. It was a fine race back when it was a flat track before they... See, the problem with Phoenix was they didn't bank it enough to make it an exciting racetrack like an Iowa or something. They banked it slightly more so that you took away kind of that excitement short track element of a flat track and just kind of made it a one groove racetrack, particularly for IndyCar racing. NASCAR is not that much better.
Oh, I get it. So it's the track's fault that they want nothing to do with you guys.
No, well, yeah, it is. Ultimately, the reason the racing's bad is because they changed the track. But at the same time, IndyCar wasn't particularly proactive in saying, okay, we can't run the same wings or the same horsepower we were running here when we ran here in 2005 because it's not going to be the same track. They weren't proactive in that particular aspect of things, but that's a 50-50 one to me. That's
I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest with you here, David. I don't think it was like mostly a racing problem and stuff. I think they saw the attendance numbers go down and they just realized
the attendance numbers never went up.
I mean, yeah, and they're just looking at this and they're probably thinking to themselves, man, like, are we really we're letting them race here and stuff, even though we see no significant improvement in as far as attendance numbers go, and they were like, yeah, this isn't worth it. We're just gonna back out. And also, this is another rumor I saw. Texas might not want nothing to do with IndyCar either. And to piggyback off of what my PR boss said, he said that the NHRA event last fall had similar attendance numbers as the IndyCar race there. So I mean,
yeah. NHRA has a huge fan base.
Yeah, I know, but
NHRA also is on the rise in America for the most part.
Yeah,
so that's something to also bring into as context, though.
Right. Yeah, I was just about to bring that up, but I mean, NHRA has always had a core fan base, a very loyal fan base. But are they gonna all of a sudden rise over NASCAR and stuff in terms of viewership and popularity? No.
It's completely different. It's apples and oranges there. I think there's a legitimate argument to be made that there's comparisons between IndyCar and NASCAR. Same for IndyCar and F1. There are similarities between those things. But when you're talking about straight line drag racing, that's like saying, well, let's say Supercross. Yeah, but that's like comparing Supercross to NASCAR.
Well, we're talking about viewership in terms of numbers, though. They've had a little spite in ratings as well, but
the product isn't similar at all. You've got incredibly short races with NHRA. It's a completely different product than what you're selling. You could say, if you look at IndyCar versus NASCAR, next weekend, IndyCar is going to a 500-mile oval race at Pocono. So you have a direct potential comparison with a 400-mile oval race.
Yeah, I wasn't comparing the product on the racetrack or anything like that. Just attendance.
But that drives attendance and viewership because it's a product that you're selling. You're saying, you want to come to the drag races or you want to come to a NASCAR race. That's a very significant sell from a perspective of, okay, who's buying the tickets here?
Okay. Yeah. You know what? This debate in this debate we can find common ground and stuff. I could agree with that. I'll agree with you on that part.
Can I mention the thing you brought up about Texas real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Texas only wants nothing to do with IndyCar if they go to Circuit of the Americas. They have been very clear that they are pretty.
Why? What's the problem there?
Circuit of the Americas is in Austin, Texas.
Oh yeah.
And Eddie Gossage doesn't want anything to do with another IndyCar race in Texas because, in his opinion, probably rightly so, is that another IndyCar race potentially at a track that maybe would attract a different crowd or maybe a bigger crowd. Certainly, the fact that it can support an F1 race suggests to me that there's a lot of road racing fans in Texas. Eddie Gossage says the only time you're seeing Indy cars in Texas is going to be at Texas Motor Speedway. And if IndyCar wants to go somewhere else, they're not going to be racing here.
That's the reason why NASCAR can't even test there. Like it's an all out, basically banned to go for a track in some radius.
Yeah, it's
something
crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so there is that.
So I guess my next question is in terms of both our sports, two biggest races, the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500. In terms of viewership, and this is average, 9.3 million for the Daytona 500. When I last checked last night, it was a 4.3 average viewership for the Indianapolis 500, and even they said
3.4.
Oh, so
well, he's talking average, I think.
Average.
He's not talking about
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I'm looking at rating.
Yeah. So so in terms of viewership, that's where it is, and ABC recently just won it out and stuff, and I'll get to them in a little bit.
Not true.
Not true.
Yeah, they were bidding with NBC. In fact, they were.
Yeah, but like you're not going to overbid to show something that no one watches. I mean,
they did though. There was a bidding war.
Yeah, but they're not going to just overbid like, oh, we're not going to pay excessive money for this. If they really, cared about it and if they saw potential in it, they would overbid.
We'll agree on that one.
All the time.
ABC only cared about one thing: it's the Indy 500, and they were willing to give IndyCar a full season contract.
Yeah, but I mean But my point is, in ABC's last race, that was the worst viewership in terms of any Indy 500 in the 64-year history. This is a race that even had Danica Patrick in the race too. So she was allowed to climb her way around the racetrack and stuff like that.
Her star has long since shimmered down, and that's thanks to your sport.
Really? Really? I mean, she was trending. I remember her trending that day and stuff. People still know who she is, so they would at least tune in, to see how she's doing and stuff like that. She
also crashed out on lap 50.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but I mean, so my point is, how is like IndyCar eventually going to try and get over NASCAR when, in terms of both of our hugest races, you're not even close when it comes to viewership? Not even close.
If current trends continue, it's going to be close within 2 years. If we'll look at the Daytona 500 ratings for just a second, how do I share my screen?
I'll do it real quick for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You're presented. So yeah, just on the side, there'll be the little green box with the arrow.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. Is it?
There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just press on your right thing there. You just click on that.
On what?
On your tab. The tab you're going to show.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. There you go.
Okie dokie. So we've got the NASCAR ratings here. From 2017 and 2018 so far. With this data, I threw out Chicagoland because of the fact that it's in a different time of the year, and because of the fact that that will impact ratings, because Chicago previously was a chase race and it also went up against the NFL. But outside of that, these are the races that pretty much happen at the same time of the year. Direct comparison.
Where's your key? So what's red? What's red?
Red is 2018, blue is 2019.
And this is NASCAR ratings, correct?
These are NASCAR ratings. I've got the IndyCar ratings in a different tab. We'll take a look at here in a second. Okay. So if we look at Daytona and look at the different starting positions, in fact, I've got the data up here. Daytona in 2017 started or finished with a 6.6 television rating. Last year, or this year, it dropped to a 5.3. That is a full ratings point drop in 1 year for the biggest race.
Okay.
That's significant. I mean, that's significant. Now, if you look at some of these other races, you look at Atlanta, not as big of a drop. But then you get to Vegas, pretty sizable drop. You get to something like I think Martinsville is a rain out, so I should have thrown that out. Let's throw that out of the data real quick. So, but you look here like Texas, 2.5 to a 1.7. I think that was a difference between Fox and FS1, but I can't remember. Both races were on FS1. I can't remember specifically. But there's really only been 2 races throughout the NASCAR season that have increased in viewership. Michigan, the first Michigan race, and Watkins Glen. And I don't really know what was so significant about this Michigan race that made everybody want to watch it.
I think it was on Fox, David.
Was it on Fox?
Yeah.
So it changed. Okay, so there we go. So we have a change between FS1 and Fox. Is that what we're getting at here?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So really then the outlier is Watkins Glen. And we can say that because of the fact that the most popular driver was running up front all day, ended up winning the race.
It was
and
on NBC.
It was on NBC, and the road racing is really kind of become a very trendy thing in NASCAR. I would say that's why that rating has gone up. But across the whole of the season, in comparable conditions, the ratings have been down. They've been lower by a pretty significant margin in most cases.
Can I just try and make a point really quick?
Sure, go for it.
Well, you know, when you have stars like Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., you know, who just leave the sport, you know, all at the same time in the past few years, you're going to have a ratings drop in terms of viewership and stuff. Now, those stars are gone, but just saying stars can be replaced, and NASCAR is doing pretty good with that so far, I would say.
I mean, how many have gotten, to use a wrestling term, how many have gotten over outside of Chase Elliott?
How many have gotten over? Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, he's still working right now. Eric Jones got his first win.
Yeah, but how many people are going out and buying an Eric Jones shirt? That's my question.
Oh, how many people are going out and buying an Eric Jones shirt? Are you talking about like, I know he has a pretty good fan base, I would say, but I'm not sure.
Can I make a quick point here? Because I kind of want to like everyone who's tuning in now, I want to kind of give a background, because I kind of agree with both of you, and I want to throw this out there really quick. Is I think the argument right now is kind of devolved into what is NASCAR doing well, is IndyCar doing well, and I think here's what I think the argument is. There's no denying that NASCAR is significantly bigger than IndyCar currently in the public eye, but NASCAR is dropping significantly, and this is where I agree with David. NASCAR is dropping at a semi-alarming rate, whereas IndyCar has figured out a way to kind of stabilize itself and manage the level it's at now. And it's doing okay. It's kind of like you get the impression that it has nowhere to go but up from now, whereas NASCAR, we're still not quite sure how much further it's going to fall. I tend to think that
this year is the worst. It's going to be the worst.
And that's kind of what I believe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's going to be the worst. Yeah. The junior effect. This is the first year without Dale Jr. It's going to go back up a little bit.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment.
No, I'm not.
I would give it another year or two. I think by 2020 we'll hit rock bottom.
NASCAR is they've done some pretty dumb things, but to entirely split up a league like, you know, IndyCar and open wheel racing did, like NASCAR's not that stupid. So
the point
obviously.
IndyCar has managed it. Now, I do not watch much IndyCar. I don't keep up that close with IndyCar, I'll be honest, but I know enough that IndyCar has stabilized itself. They've managed they've been able to manage whatever level they're at right now, whereas NASCAR is still running itself like it was like it's succeeding how it did in the early 2000s. And the problem is, once these TV deals finish up, you know, the sport continues to change, and it's going to continue to slide. And if NASCAR, you know, IndyCar was able to make changes to eventually hang in there, if NASCAR is unable to make those changes, then NASCAR could eventually die. Now, the thing I do disagree with David on is I don't think that IndyCar is going to surpass NASCAR in the next 2 years.
I don't think it's going to surpass it. I think they'll level. I think they'll be at the same level.
I think at best case is maybe 4 or 5 years down the line.
The same level.
Yes.
Let Eric finish his point.
And I think also, since I feel like I just want to throw this out there, that I don't think the argument is which one's bigger right now. I think the argument is you got to look at the graph right now. NASCAR is at this line, IndyCar is at this line. Now NASCAR is way up here, but in a few years they could be even, unless IndyCar spikes, because I heard Fernando Alonso could go there, so that could be a big boost for them.
Well, we saw how much that did for the TV ratings in 2017. So,
well, yeah. So I just think that the argument is, really, if NASCAR can figure out how to kind of level off, if NASCAR can turn that corner, they'll be okay. But the real argument I think we need to be having is NASCAR going to be able to, and will IndyCar do something to suddenly boost their ratings? Because IndyCar's not really going anywhere, but NASCAR's dropping, and that's what the facts are. You know, like your chart here with the ratings from last year to this year, we've seen that, and I do agree that I think a large part of that is because of Dale Jr. leaving and whatnot, which is why I think for the next year or two is kind of going to be our rock bottom. But we've already seen how Chase Elliott wins, boom, race has more ratings than last year. As Eric Jones and Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and maybe a Suarez or a Bubba start winning, ratings I think will improve. I think NASCAR also is making aero package changes that hopefully they make the right decision there. Hopefully they do and appease the fans. So I think if we're going to argue, like, I think that's what we should be arguing is what are the sports doing to change themselves, hopefully for the better, and which one's doing the best job of it? Because I think that's what's going to matter going in the long run. So I think
really quick. Eric, you brought up, I know you talked a few weeks ago about that Forbes article too.
Yeah.
What did it say about NASCAR with the younger fans again? I think there was something like about
second.
It was doing very well with social media engagement. It was up there as high as any other sport. So it was
NFL, the
doing
NBA.
well. But
so I do think that's one fail safe is that while NASCAR does have on average a much older audience, it also is starting to garner in a younger audience. I mean, we see, and granted, this is just being on YouTube, so this is going to be skewed younger. You see it like in our audiences. Most of our audiences either teenagers or early 20s. Again, being on YouTube skews that to a younger extent, and our older audience, at least for me, is much higher than say 30s, 40s area. But I do think that's something that, even with all these dumb decisions, it's something that NASCAR has sort of been the way it's at right now with how it presents itself for so long that a lot of these fans grow up with nothing else. So this is just what they're on. This is what they're with. They like the new chase format, even, if it splits longtime fans up. They like stage racing and all this other stuff. So I guess I'd have to ask, what would you say about that with NASCAR, according to Forbes? Now, again, they could be wrong. They could, got their data from somewhere wrong. But what would you say about that when it comes to if NASCAR would be quicker to dying if they're drawing in a younger audience? What is IndyCar? Or here, I'll stop presenting, just so. I didn't realize I still was.
Oh no! I had more data to show, but if we're gonna change the subject,
no, we can show it after. I just wanted to ask that.
Go ahead. Yeah. So we're talking about whether or not IndyCar has a young demographic as well as NASCAR. Is that what the question seems to be?
Well, I guess at least I'm looking just from the NASCAR perspective of if NASCAR is going to be falling supposedly to this level with IndyCar, if it's garnering in younger fans at the a similar rate, I think the NBA was the only one ranked ahead of it social media wise. I guess would that just, how would that form into the argument that NASCAR would be dying quicker?
I think part of the problem is that young people don't watch TV. I think there's a lot of young people that watch not only NASCAR but all of racing, but we don't watch it on TV. We find an illegal stream, or we go on Reddit and we say, "Hey, who's got the race on?" And we watch it that way. Yeah. So when advertisers look at falling TV ratings, first of all, and then they look at those demographics and go, "My God, they're halfway in the grave." They go, "Oh, we got to get out of here. This is dying." When maybe it's not necessarily dying, or the TV numbers aren't necessarily showing the full picture. I completely agree. I'm admitting that while showing TV numbers, they are significant, but they're not significant necessarily. They're not a 100% indicator that something's dying or on the rise or whatever, because there's so many other factors that go into the sport itself. But the one thing that is important about the TV ratings and why everybody puts such a focus on them is the fact that your big Fortune 500 companies, who NASCAR still has a lot of, but a lot of them have left too. Believe me, I'm about to read a list. Have either are looking at leaving, they have left, or they're reevaluating their current status in the sport. And unfortunately, until we get a better way to track viewership or track engagement, like social media numbers, and people start really paying attention to that as a serious outlet, we're going to continue to see decline like this across the board in motorsports, because it's just how things work.
I like what you said there, because I do think that granted NASCAR has been quicker in their decline over the last few years. There's no denying that. But I mean, just across the board, aside from maybe NHRA, motorsports have been just they've been falling off, and I think it's because millennials, especially, because I think now we're starting to get into more of the Gen Z coming up, but millennials especially, and Gen Xers to an extent, they're just not car people. They're not into cars. They're not into racing. Cars to them are just point A to point B. So I guess that adds into it as well. And then with streaming, I personally think that the people who jump on streaming now are going to be the ones dominating the next 40 years. Because just this is just me making a general statement. Because I mean, I think they showed a chart that it's literally surpassed TV as the medium of watching live sports, live TV. I mean, you look at every sport, even the NFL has been falling the past 3 or 4 years. You know, you look at everyone's cutting cable. You see shows like Walking Dead are falling off. Now it's more falling content, but I get away from that. But I guess that's just sort of where I bring that to is anything that's, I think, primarily focusing on TV as their main selling point, I think is on a collision course to keep falling, in my opinion. So I guess that's where I'm
I also just want to point out that trends, they can change, because, you know, something's the same a few years ago and stuff for the past few years doesn't mean it's going to be the same in 5 or 10 years. You know, once NASCAR, I feel like NASCAR is also one of its biggest problems is not just because they've lost a ton of star power, but also the current aero package is not to most fans' liking, and they're also leaving because the product on the track is just, it's not up to par like it was in the late 90s and the early 2000s, not even close. But once the Gen 7 car, and all the indications is pointing at this car being released around 2021, 2022, once that car is released and the racing is back to the way it was before this whole Gen 6 car, sorry, that trend's going to be done. And by that time, we'll already have established stars. You know, Larson, Elliott, Blaney, all those guys are already going to be established by that time. So, yeah.
This sounds incredibly familiar to what IndyCar racing was talking about post-split, 2008, 2009, 2010. These are the sort of things where you're looking so far in the future that maybe you're not focusing on the present. And unfortunately, the present is, once you get to 2021, 2022, things are going to be significantly different from the way they are now, particularly on the money
the ratings
side
are going
of
to go back up. Yeah, ratings are going to go back up for NASCAR.
Okay. I wish I had your faith. Well, let's talk rate. I want to finish my point so we can get done with this.
Yeah,
this
I'll
data
present you real quick.
Go ahead.
I'll present
no
you.
problem. Oh, okay. I think I'm already doing that, right?
Okay, you're on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
now you're presenting.
Okay, so when we take a look at the NASCAR ratings, you can see the downward trend, obviously.
Mhm.
But when you look at IndyCar ratings, you've got a pretty stagnant-looking chart here. The only one I threw out here was Barber because, again, a rain delay. Same thing that happened with Martinsville. But if you look at the ratings here, they're not great. No doubt about it. When you're under 1.0, you're looking at pretty crap ratings. I think NASCAR is going to end up here at some point. I think they're going to. Well, I'm serious. I think if you look at St. Petersburg, which was opening race of the season, a lot of hype for a new car, you get a 0.8 rating.
Is that a joke?
No, I'm not. That's not a joke. I think what's a joke? Is the rating a joke?
NASCAR's rating is going to be like that.
Yes. They're not going to be. They're not going to be here. They're not going to be like what the Phoenix ratings are.
Okay.
But they're going to be around here.
All
They're going to be around this area. For the big races, they're probably going to be around Indy 500 level. But if you look at this St. Pete rating, ABC, remember, network television, and again, ABC, like you pointed out yourself, hasn't really cared about IndyCar. They didn't promote anything. This was simply just kind of word of mouth promotion. You look at some of these NASCAR races up here. You look at Bristol, you get a 1.5, 1.4 this season. You get to a 1.6 for Pocono.
Well, those were on FS1.
No, they were. Yeah, they were because of rainouts.
Well, they're often getting put on FS1 because Fox doesn't have faith in their ratings.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
That's a fair criticism.
Let's look at NBC Sports too. 1.3, 1.6, 1.8, 1.6
on the secondary network, while IndyCar was on ABC.
You're right.
The main network.
You're right. But again, my point is that eventually these NBC sports ratings are going to pretty much be the standard for the Fox races, for the NBC races. It's only going to take a couple of years. And when you're dropping a full ratings point at Daytona every year, imagine, let me put it this way. Let's imagine the Indy 500 goes from a 3.4 to a 4.4. Could you imagine what everybody would be talking about? What a massive increase that would be.
Yes.
How everybody, yeah. So we're looking at it from the opposite direction here. And I've heard virtually nobody going, boy, that Daytona 500 rating sure did suck. I'm pretty sure it was also the lowest rated Daytona 500 in history as well. So, we're just across the board have bad TV ratings. The point in all this, and what I've been trying to get at, is the fact that, again, as an IndyCar owner, IndyCar driver, IndyCar sponsor, whoever's looking at this data, selling it, trying to get a program together, you have reasonable expectations for what to expect. You say this many people are going to watch the Indy 500. It only dropped 0.4 in the ratings this year, and that could be down to any number of factors. More people were busy on Memorial Day, or the fact that, again, it was ABC's last 500. It was announced prior to the race, and they probably just didn't throw any money at promoting it. But you look at all these other races from NBC Sports Network and ABC, they're not great, but they've been consistent for the past probably 10 years. Probably the last 5 years have probably been as consistent as the ratings have ever gotten. You look at NASCAR, and when you're selling things to sponsorship, you're saying, look at this trend here. It's going down. Virtually every race is down from where it was last season. So a bean counter looks at this and says, well, what are you selling here that's going to show any where are the signs of increase here? And we're seeing it here. You look at the last 5 years, and I tried to do this just simply from 2015 to now. You've had Lowe's, Target, Dollar General, Farmers Insurance, 5 Hour Energy, Subway, Sprint, Home Depot, just to name a few, leaving the sport. These are big Fortune 500 companies. They've left the sport, and that's simply because they don't find any value in it anymore. And it's not like these guys were funding backmarker teams. These guys were winning races. You look at Lowe's, that's a 7-time champion right there. Target, Kyle Larson, one of the top new guys in the sport. Dollar General, Matt Kenseth, another stalwart driver. Casey Kane, I don't know what they're spending the money on there. But 5 Hour Energy, Martin Truex Jr., literally the champion right now. They're leaving. Subway, Daniel Suarez, perfectly marketable, diverse driver. They left. Sprint left the whole series. Home Depot, again, leaving. And I'm sure there's more that the chat can come up with. But
do we still have more sponsors than IndyCar, though, currently?
Probably. But okay. Full season sponsors, aren't there 2 right now that cover the full season, M&M's and FedEx?
Are you talking about in terms of a team sponsoring like a whole season, or? Yeah,
so like one sponsor essentially covers the full season. I think there's 2 left, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but
well, and also, in that case, no, I don't think so. I don't think even M&M's covers the whole season because you have Skittles and all.
Oh, it's Mars. Mars Co.
Oh, Mars. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then that, yes, they do.
Yeah.
Well, they got Pedigree.
They also have Interstate Batteries.
That's Mars. Oh, yeah, the Interstate Batteries.
Almost the full schedule, but I think the point makes sense because, but.
Rusty in the chat brings up a good point. Matt, there's also massive difference in expense to run teams in IndyCar. IndyCar, I think, isn't it cheaper to run it in NASCAR as well?
Roger Penske gave a quote that his 3 Indy cars that he runs on the full season it costs him less to run those cars than it costs for him to run one Monster Energy car.
Did you get that from Kamikaze's video? Because I did too.
I think I did, but I remember reading the quote when it came out.
Okay. All right. So if we're gonna talk about sponsorship and stuff,
but by the way, Kamikaze did a fantastic video on this situation. You should go watch it.
Yeah. No. Was it the diecast video?
No, that was the video where I sent him a car.
No. You're talking about like NASCAR dying and that video.
Yeah. That video was really, really well done. I thought so.
Yeah. I thought so as well.
Reddit hated it, so that means I liked it.
well, Reddit hates everything apparently, so that's not really surprising. Yeah, all right, so if we're going to talk in terms of sponsorship and stuff, and I mean, what about the title sponsor here? I mean, Verizon, they're going to depart after this season and stuff. I mean,
yes. Well, that's what they're saying.
Well, yeah,
NBC is working to try to bring them back, but they're still going to be involved in the series. They're not leaving Penske.
But title sponsor though, they're going to be gone.
Sure, but NASCAR announced their most recent title sponsor 3 weeks before the season.
Yeah, but they re-signed a 1-year deal at least. I mean, at least it was like, that's not much, but it's something. Verizon's just like, and also, I mean, you've had other sponsors leave in the past too. Izod left for the same reason as well. I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going to talk sponsorship, we got to talk about the main title sponsor as well leaving.
Sure. Yeah, I just talked about NASCAR's title sponsor leaving.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the point here?
Well, the point is, you're saying it's growing and it's going to overtop NASCAR eventually and stuff. Then, if that's really the case, why would they leave? I'm just saying. I mean, if they see this trend going on here, if they think the trend's really going to continue, why would they just all of a sudden just back out when they have faith in Sam?
CEO change. That's what happened at ISOD. Well, that's not it, but that's part of it. You get a different management in there, and that's what happened to Target too. They left both of our series.
I guess my question is
that was more of a Target deal than just racing in general.
Yeah.
Similar to like how National Guard left because of like just their own sanctions.
Yeah. So I guess my question is what's IndyCar's plan? Do they have this business plan? Because I know NASCAR they're about to create this new business model in terms of presenting sponsorship to our fan base and stuff. I mean, is IndyCar going to change that, or are you guys just going to go after another title sponsor and hang around for a few years again?
I think the NBC TV deal, especially in the first year, is going to be pretty crucial to the plan going forward. If NBC helps, and it seems like they're working very closely with IndyCar, this is one thing that NASCAR has never had, is the fact that there's one TV company that is working with IndyCar. It's not a multiple cooks in the kitchen sort of thing. So you would hope that there will be ample promotion for the races next year, and you would hope that you would see an increase in exposure for the current sponsors that are involved and potential new sponsors coming in next year. I mean, let's not say that things like McLaren coming in next season, which is more or less confirmed, that's a pretty significant company, despite the fact that it may not be something that I can go out and buy. I mean, I can buy a Hot Wheels car off the shelf that says McLaren on it, but outside of that, that may not be a company where you can say, okay, I can go down to the local grocery store and buy a McLaren. But that doesn't shy away from the fact that a big major auto manufacturer looked at IndyCar and said, hey, that is valuable to us. We have value in the series. We're going to start a program. We're going to go try to hire Scott Dixon, and we're hiring Fernando Alonso, but we're not saying anything about it yet. And that's what they're doing. So there are certainly big companies involved in IndyCar, big companies looking at becoming involved in IndyCar. And have we really heard a lot in NASCAR talking about, a new company willing to come in, willing to step up, maybe a new manufacturer, things like that? I haven't heard a whole lot about on the NASCAR side. A lot of times just like, is Jimmy John's leaving? What does Lowe's leaving mean for Jimmy Johnson? What does all this stuff mean? It's things like that. And again, I think the chat pointed it out, the Monster Energy deal is a 1-year deal.
Yeah, through 2019. Yeah, my point was NASCAR, I don't think they're going to go with a new title sponsor beginning in 2020. I think they're going to do a whole new business model where they're going to present sponsors in a whole new way that the sport hasn't seen before. So, I mean, all props to them for trying something new and stuff. But I guess my point also is, in terms of, losing sponsorship, teams are – I mean, once a team loses a sponsor, they always – well, at least in NASCAR, they always seem to get another sponsor deal in place in time for next year. Lowe's is leaving, but currently Rick Hendrick is in talks with 3 other potential sponsors as well. For Furniture Row, I believe it was what sponsor was leaving again, Jarrett? And for Furniture Row,
5 Hour.
All right, yeah, that's right. 5 Hour Energy is leaving, but they're all still in talks as well. So, I mean, while one sponsor leaves, another one comes back. As with IndyCar, I don't know. It's you have these full-time sponsors and stuff, and partly for the reason because it is cheaper to help fund in just one IndyCar team rather than funding one with 4 cars in NASCAR and stuff, obviously. So yeah,
I wanted to make one point. I think that I'm kind of in favor of NASCAR. I think NASCAR has seen a lot of big sponsors, and you read off that list of the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the Dollar Generals, et cetera, that had a huge foot in the door in this series that they have left. But I know there was, in that Forbes article, there was a stat, I can't remember the exact percentage, but there was a stat that there had been an increase in the last 10 years in Fortune 500 companies in NASCAR. Obviously, the money's not there. So it just means that I think big companies, I think NASCAR is currently reliant on a lot of companies giving a little as opposed to a few big companies giving a lot. And I don't know if that's going to help them going forward, but I'll give this as a credit to NASCAR because I think I want to, again, kind of get back to the point of this. I think this debate, this argument is supposed to be which series is positioning itself better for the future. And I give NASCAR that credit, as I think that is kind of the beginning of a changing business model that I think possibly could make more sense going forward for them. But I also want to say the thing that IndyCar has going for it, like I think it was Rusty's comment said, is the idea that it is IndyCar, like I said earlier, since they've shrunk so much, but they figured out how to manage the costs at whatever level they're going right now. It's cheaper to run a team than it is in NASCAR. NASCAR still, these teams are solely reliant on sponsorship money to fund these teams. Like purse money doesn't mean anything. Anyway, that's something that NASCAR is going to have to adapt to. And so when I hear things like, hey, Lowe's is leaving, but we have these 3 other kind of smaller companies are all chipping in to kind of make up the difference. I'm hoping that maybe down the line, if NASCAR isn't as reliant on big bucks from just a few companies, maybe that helps them better. And I don't know as much about IndyCar. I don't know if IndyCar has something similar working out for it. But that's like a thing I just wanted to point out because that's something I was thinking about. Because I think the debate here still isn't about, NASCAR, yes, has more sponsors right now. It has more money. It is a bigger sport. That's undeniable. But I want to make sure we don't lose sight of the fact that it is dropping faster than IndyCar is, and IndyCar is pretty level. And so that is the argument when we say like, oh, IndyCar is going to pass NASCAR. It's not so much IndyCar is going to pass it, more than NASCAR is just going to drop below it. And I think the only difference here is, I think the debate here, the difference we have is, Darian, you think no way it happens anytime soon. I'm over here like, if things stay the same, it could happen in 5 or 6 years. David, you seem to think it'll happen much sooner. So that's kind of the only difference. And I don't know. I think that's just
I wouldn't say much sooner. I'm probably closer to your opinion on this.
Okay.
I think 2 years is probably, I've been saying 2 years. I think that's where the ratings are going, when the ratings are going to drop. But I think the actual bottoming out is right where you'll say it is, like about 5 years. And here's the thing. It bottoming out finally is going to be the best thing to happen to NASCAR. Because when it does, they're going to reevaluate everything. They're going to go, oh, crap, we're screwed. We need to change everything. And they'll probably end up, and this is something that IndyCar has done itself. You look at the Universal Aero Kit, universally praised, ironically enough, for looking really good and racing really good. This was something that people had been complaining about IndyCars for the better part of 2 decades since the IRL. So the cars were ugly. Cars are ugly. Cars are ugly. Cars are ugly. Change the cars. They changed the cars. So, and the NASCAR thing is the same thing. There's too much downforce. There's too much downforce. There's too much downforce. Get rid of the splitter. Bring the valence back. And I saw Steve O'Donnell on Twitter say, hey, we're looking at bringing the valence back. First time they've acknowledged that in
years. Finally said something. It's about time.
Yeah, yeah. So I do, and I'm not like trying to be a doom and gloom person like, oh, I want, you see, that's the thing. Like, I get that you were mad that people are like, oh, I want NASCAR to do bad. I don't want it to do bad. I want it to do better.
No, I know.
But
I know.
If it takes it having to take this massive drop to wake them up, that's what it's going to have to be. Unfortunately, again, I think it's just a management problem with NASCAR right now. And I'm not sure how they change that, because I don't know if you guys watched my Brian France video, but if, by the way, opioids are not related to cocaine. I found that out. My main point in that was NASCAR management had Brian France as a figurehead. And if they didn't know, they should get fired. If they did know, they should be fired. Because if you couldn't tell there was something a little bit off about Brian France at a lot of those press conferences or banquets,
it's been a meme.
Oh yeah. And so if you couldn't tell that, like, what are you doing in upper level management? And if you could tell that and you covered it up, and then you have this big mass. I mean, this is the biggest headline NASCAR has had in how long? I mean, this stole headlines. It was all over the media. And what do you think that's going to do to a company that's already looking at TV ratings and going, I don't know if I want to stay in NASCAR. I don't know if I want to get involved in NASCAR. They go, oh, well, they had their CEO just got arrested for drunk driving in a driving sport. That'll help. I mean, it's just like they got a clean house. They got to get some people in there. I saw somebody suggest that Dale Jr. should run NASCAR. I'm like, hell yeah. Have you ever read his Twitter?
I've suggested that too.
He's so in touch. It's unbelievable. It's like Dale Jr. knows everything that NASCAR needs to do right. And it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
I will say this though. Jim France. I like him as the interim. He's done it before. He did it back in the I believe it was 97 or 98 when Bill France Sr. had cancer. So he has experience in that. And one thing that was significantly different that he actually showed up to a race. Not only that, but he actually sat in a driver's council meeting and heard what I'm assuming was complaints about the whole aero package we're currently running and stuff now too. So like now, is he the long-term future? He's like 70, 75. I don't think so and stuff. But
well,
you know,
Jim France is also the guy who runs IMSA for NASCAR.
Yes, and IMSA. I mean, they've improved and stuff too.
Oh
so,
yeah.
I would love Jim France to run it and stuff. But I mean, as far as Brian France goes, I don't think he's coming back. Like NASCAR, they've done some pretty dumb things, but that would be like, I don't think they're that stupid to let Brian France just lead the whole ship again, or basically running into the ground again. Just like after that one headline, I don't think they're
but that's my point, is that the rest of the upper level management is still there. The people who
bunch of yes men. Yes, a bunch of yes men.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know, it's still the same regime. It's just the head. You cut the head off. The problem is it's going to grow another one back probably. I you know, imagine if they hire like or promote Steve O'Donnell or somebody, one of the corporate guys who really doesn't seem to have a very good grip on racing, if I may say so, be so blunt about that.
Yeah,
it's just,
he's not.
They need to either get somebody so far removed from the sport that they can take a fresh look at it, or they need to get somebody who's so passionate about the sport that they'll be willing to do whatever it takes to fix it. And they have suggested right now.
I have suggested Ben Kennedy, make Ben Kennedy the new CEO. I mean, he's young, you know, he's not racing anymore. He's running the Truck Series. They just got a new sponsor for that as well. Truck Series is looking pretty great and stuff. I'd be all for him running the sport.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I think that's what they were doing. Why they pulled him out of it. They said, "Ben, we need you to stop racing. We need some help."
Yeah, we need help.
All right. We kind of want to be out of here by 9:30 our time, 10:30 Eastern. So I say you guys do your final statements, and then we'll do outros really quick.
All right.
So just who wants to go first?
I'll go first. You know, a lot of people have said on Twitter that, you know, oh, I did this on purpose to try and further divide the community and stuff like that. That was not the intention. I just say my opinions and stuff, whether you like it or not. Like everyone on the panel knows it. I mean, I just say what's on my mind. That's never going to change. Now, what's misconstrued is that I want IndyCar to fail and I want it to die and stuff like that too. First off, that couldn't be further from the truth. If IndyCar announced that, we're just ceasing operations and stuff, that is sad because I am a motorsports fan. I'm not a NASCAR fan. I'm a motorsports fan. I just happen to watch NASCAR the most. So by all means, I hope I do wish them the best and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't wish any like ill will on any IndyCar fans and stuff in their league and stuff like that. So I hope, and by all means, I hope they can, you guys can keep improving and stuff. I just have a different opinion on how I think the future is going to go. I don't think that they can overtop stock car racing in America and stuff. I don't think that's just going to happen. So yeah, it's just my opinion and stuff. I'm glad David Land was able to come on, and we were just able to talk about this in a and just have a civilized discussion. And yeah, just thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and thank you, Darian. I this was a fun time. It's always nice to have these discussions because sports shouldn't be the things that divide us. They should be the things that bring us together. And I think this is kind of even when we disagree, ultimately we're just talking about sports. Right. We did talk about some pretty heavy issues here. Like money, TV ratings, the dirty underside of the sport that makes it kind of makes it work. Mm-hmm. But again, we discussed it in a respectful way. I appreciate the fact that you were willing to bring me on here again, because I always have fun doing this. I wasn't going through a tunnel the whole time, which was great too as well. But yeah, I think that again. I think stuff like what we're doing right here, stuff like I do on my channel, I know Eric does on his, and
we're basically helping out the sport. We're helping out our respective sports. Okay, we're actually doing something and stuff. We're not just sitting here complaining and stuff like that. We're somehow helping it out in some sort of way.
Well, this is the thing. We were talking about the younger demographic. There's a reason we're all here right now. It's because of the fact that people are interested enough in racing to watch our videos, know who we are, and want to hear us talk for 3 hours about NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA, all this stuff. I think this is a positive. And this is the thing. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but anytime I go to a race and somebody stops me and says, "Are you David Land?" they're always very young. They're always not very young, but like they're like in that 18 to 30 range that everybody tells me doesn't watch racing. They do. They just watch it a different way. They consume it a different way. And the fact that we're able to do stuff like this, and I think somebody said there's like 200 people watching right now. That's freaking awesome.
Oh, is there? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
it's went down a little since we're dropping. But
yeah. So if you're watching, freaking hit the like button.
Lick the like button.
Lick that like button. Yeah. but this is awesome. This kind of stuff, this kind of content that we're producing. We're the next Speed Channel. We're the next Speed Vision. We're the next Race Hub. We're that for a different generation, and if we keep doing what we're doing, the sport's going to grow.
Absolutely, couldn't have said it better myself.
Absolutely. I guess I have one more question. So when I get my streaming, when I get streaming back on my channel on October 17th, you want to be the first guest back on my channel? Would you be
absolutely? I would be totally willing to do that.
There you go. See, so
there we go.
So podcast fans, David Land is confirmed for August 17th.
Be there or be square.
October, Darian. October.
I said October.
No, you said August.
I said August. I was like, wait a second.
August 17th. Oh, my bad.
2 days away from now. And then
October.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like, I'm not
October.
feature.
My bad. Sorry.
I might do a BS stream Friday, but we're not doing that.
Yeah. October 17th.
All right, let's really quick. Everyone do their outros. Eric, want to start with you, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah. So thanks. Big thanks to David Lamb for coming on, as well as Kayla Eshleman, and of course Gino over there. I know he's been quiet, but I think we've all been pretty quiet here for the most part. But thanks for joining us. You can find me on Twitter at EricEstep17, Instagram Eric Estep. YouTube channel is down in the description. If you're not subscribed to me, get over there. I make NASCAR videos. If any of you are new here, I make NASCAR videos a lot, and that's kind of my MO. So thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks to our guests. I'll throw it to you, Danny, if you're still awake.
Yeah, I'm still awake over here. I've been listening to you guys just express yourselves, but I've been working on some other things on the side too. But so I'm DannyBTalks. Going to Bristol tomorrow. I'll be there for all 3 races. Should be fun. Gonna go watch the truck series with my dad tomorrow, and then gonna go watch Friday and Saturday night with my future father-in-law. It'll be his first race. I'm excited to take him. Hopefully the rain holds up as of now. It's looking likely that it's going to rain, so we'll see what happens there in Bristol. Should be a fun race. Again, like I said, I am about to go through a big move in my life, so YouTube for me will slow down a little bit. You'll occasionally see a video from me, I'm sure. I will be vlogging this trip, so there'll be a vlog come out on it. Other than that, that's all I can really say.
Good thing the curse is away from me again. The other curse was on me for a few months there. Now it's back to Danny. Real quick, Darian, you want to do your outro real quick?
Oh yeah. So anyways, thanks you guys so much for watching this podcast. This was honestly one of our best podcasts of all time so far. I would say easily in the top 3. And once again, David, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that. Go check out my latest upload. I started a new series called Race Reviews, and the first race of that series was this bizarre race from 1956 during NASCAR's infancy. It is the only race that NASCAR ever just said, "Yep, it's canceled. We're never running at this track again." It was never rescheduled or reran, or at least that's what Racing Reference says it was. So go check that out right now after the stream. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Lives Matter. Catch you next time.
Gino, you want to do yours real quick?
Yeah. I don't think I'm signed in on my regular YouTube account, but I'm the ACS Racing Network. If nobody knows that, I make stop motions, and I have some news. I'm gonna do like a solo 10-minute kind of podcast style thing that like Eric does. I'm gonna call it Cue the Duck. Since that's
awesome.
I can hear Benny Parsons now.
So I'm going to call it Cue the Duck, and I'm just going to kind of talk about what's on my mind. And my first episode is going to be about Chase Elliott and his win at Watkins Glen. So that's my news. I got Stop Motion Season 9 just started last Sunday, and it's already over 5,000 views. So thank you, everybody, for tuning into that. Stay tuned. Atlanta's on the way this Sunday, and this is JG24, James26, signing out.
And David, do you want to do yours real quick?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Check me out. My name is David Land. I'm on YouTube, I think, or something like that. I do, obviously, if you want to hear more awesome, spicy hot takes, about IndyCar racing, about all racing, really. I did a NASCAR video recently talking about everybody's favorite Brian France. If you want the spiciest takes on racing, come check out my channel. I also do previews of some of the bigger races on the calendar. They're known as Bandwagoners Guides, and somebody called Kyle Katz in them sometimes. I'll be at Pocono this weekend for the IndyCar race. So if you're going, say hi. Give a shout out to the podcast while you're at it, and say you saw me here. But outside of that, just check me out. I really appreciate you guys having me on again, and hope to do it very soon. And I can't wait to be the first guest on the Black Flags Matter podcast. Is that what we're calling it?
Well, it's the NASCAR Weekly podcast, but it'll be back on my channel.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I can't stream because I have a strike.
Okay. Well, then catch me on the NASCAR Weekly podcast, October 17th on Black Flags Matter.
Thank you.
We'll have to use that clip for promos the week before.
Totally.
Carnation, get on it. Get Carnation.
Especially if we can get urinating tree on that day too. That should be pretty fun.
Does Carnation comment on all of our videos? Because I see he's the first guy on every single one of my videos. Yep. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, he's on the first one on everyone's.
How does he do that?
we had him on for a fan stream, and he said that he literally just has his phone always on him, and every NASCAR channel he follows, he has notification bells clicked, which you all should click the notification bell so you know whenever we upload.
Yeah, do that for me too.
Okay. So that leaves me. You're on this channel, the Iceberg. If you haven't already subscribed, just hit 1,000 this week, which means I get to torture myself by watching 50 Shades of Grey. I promise that to you guys. So I'm rethinking stuff.
Can't back out.
No, I can't. Anyway, next week we're gonna be Danny. Can it be on your channel next week or no?
Next week,
August 22nd?
I don't see a reason why it can't. This one, maybe after that is when it'll get a little rough for me. But yeah, okay. I think next week with the fact I'm going to Bristol this weekend, that'll be fine.
Okay, so next week be on DannyBTalks channel. We're gonna have Cody H Gaming, MDK player, and then Steven Wilson from Save the Speedway will be on. That should be really fun. Steve will be on right at the start, and then we'll have the other two come in after that. I watched the new series I started, Devil's Advocate, because controversy wasn't enough on the streams. And then coming up this September, I figure I'll just announce it right now. Coming up this September, every other Thursday, I'm going to be starting a new series called The Missing Rings. It's kind of like the NFL Network did with theirs, except I'm going to be doing it for NASCAR. I want to thank David for coming on, Gino for coming on, and then Kayla Eshleman also. It was another fun stream. What can we say? Thanks for having 200 watching, and we can't wait to see you next week. So till next week, later.